She said, I've got things in my head that she don't wanna hear nothing about. I've got the things she said in my head. That's what she's about. It's a game and she knows it, and she really likes to play it. It's a game and she knows it. She thinks I like to play it too. I suppose I kinda do. I've done things to her, she's done back to me. 3 or 5 times worse, she's been into me for a while now, about where we've been and gone. It's a game and she knows it, and she really likes to play it. It's a game and she knows it. She thinks I like to play it too. I suppose I kinda do. I suppose I kinda do. We've been sharing this space for some time. Hard to look away, find a space in my time and place where I think you can't see me. We've been sharing these eyes for a long time, but we see things differently, you and me. Still share the space inside of me. We're all in here eventually. It's a game and she knows it, and she really likes to play it. It's a game and she knows it. She thinks I like to play it too. She thinks I like to play it too. I suppose I kinda do.
I'm here at the beginning. Yeah.
Are you the floating head? Have you gone full max headroom?
Crafty, isn't it? Hey? Hey? G'day, you
Yeah.
mob. How rare is it that all three of us are here right at the kickoff?
Right at the kick, right out the gate. Are we
Must
early?
be. No,
Why
no,
not?
we're actually running quite a bit late because Bentley kept having people do super chats and ask questions and stuff.
Mm.
And you know, Bentley's he's nice enough to give me a shout out each week, so I'm nice enough back to sit back and let him do his thing. He's a good boy, that Bentley.
He is.
And g'day S, first cab off the rank, big bucket of kudos out to you in the post. I bet Patty is shitting her pants. Ah, there goes the good boy clock. Goodness me. Oh well, Patty, you slacky. You're slacky this week. And hello, Pat. Joel G, g'day, mate. T-Bones, g'day. Scotty, Alien World Aquatics, hello, mate. Scotty's been sending me some very interesting videos of BB gun action. It's amazing what BB guns are available to people over there. BJ, hello. How's it going, BJ? Attending to patients. I wish I was all over the shop. Two Dougs, how's it going, Doug? Both of you. My Fish Tanks Aquatics, g'day, mate. Welcome. Geek Boy, hi there. It's been a while. Mickham, hello. TN Aqua, hello. I'm just going to say hello to everyone, it seems. Stephen P. How's it going, Stephen? Welcome. Who else am I missing? I'm screaming through the hellos today. I suppose because it gets quite awkward if I'm saying hello to everyone and you two are just sitting there, you know, doing nothing.
Oh, hey, man.
Chewy, hello.
I'm just letting you do your intro, bro.
That's awfully kind of you. Everyone's being so nice today. What memory, Chewy, is going to be in your mind forever? Who else have I missed? Blake's Aquatics. Hakuna Matata, Blake. If that's a Lion King reference, I guess. Oh, I haven't checked out any links, Chewy. Did you email it to me? So rarely check my email these days, unless I'm looking for a tracking thing. Alyssa Bentley, how are you? New local Austin. Good idea. Elbow cough. And I think I made it to the bottom. If I missed anyone, let me know. I don't want you to feel left out. Everyone's included here.
Everyone.
I feel that. What do you reckon? Oh no, I'm giving away my secrets.
You have secrets?
My secrets of my green screen headlessness.
The floating head. I mean, it's a new look for you, you know. I mean, we all got to be pretty honest. That's a new look. Before, I recall you having a body, you know.
I used to have a body, and now I've got it back. It would seem.
Oh, how odd! I guess that's just technology at work, right?
So technology. I've got all the technology. G'day, Pipex. And actually, I should have better technology arriving soon. I've ordered myself a new laptop computer.
Oh my God! What is that all about? What is going on here?
Well, I was having FOMO.
Are we metamorphosizing into the next phase of live stream mayhem?
Either potentially that, or I'll end up playing a shit ton of video games that I shouldn't be doing.
Oh,
It might I might end up on the Corvusoscan Minecraft server or something like that.
the Minecrafty server.
Well,
We have a Minecraft server, you know. You can get on there.
Yeah, I've never played it, so I'll be so annoying to anyone on the server.
No.
Trying to get them to teach me how to play.
Pretty easy once you pick it up. You're like, oh,
Yeah,
got it.
most
And then it can
games are
get
like that, aren't they?
complicated.
Yeah, it's as complicated as you want it to be, isn't it?
Essentially, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And how do you do, Scungy?
I'm okay.
Royalty. Royalty is in the house.
Scungy has a child with a birthday today, so I'm awfully surprised that she's graced us with her regal presence.
Ah.
Um,
Oh, is this
Yeah.
the 17th birthday?
it is, and
Yeah.
he doesn't have school on Wednesdays, which is what it is here. because year 11, they give them a day off halfway through the week.
Really?
So he is home, and
Study
we did
day.
go out. Yeah.
Study day.
Yeah, they're supposed to stay home all day and hit the books.
What? Why? Why wouldn't you hit the books at school?
Yeah, it's an interesting concept, isn't it?
Yeah.
But they did
Isn't that what
say,
school's for? Hey, go home and do school.
Yeah.
What?
We trust you.
yeah. Well, we went to the beach this morning, which was nice. And walked on the beach and stuff with the dog, and I bought him some sushi to eat. And but now he's happily doing his own thing, so I'm free. I will cook a cake at some point today, probably.
Freedom.
Not entirely free, though, because he's still only 17.
True. Can't be trusted.
12 months left of almost freedom. Mickham is asking Sarah, how was that exhibition, Sarah?
Oh, the exhibition is still up, but they've had to postpone like the opening event. So like it's open, but they do an event, where people come and drink wine, and they announce all of the prize things and stuff. So that's been postponed. It was meant to be tonight, and it's not on. But it's still up until August, early August sometime. And presumably they said they'll let us know about the opening. So,
Nice.
that's all I know so far.
Yeah, it's a shame that we couldn't attend the opening night, isn't it? That would have been fun.
Well, it potentially still will be fun when it happens.
Ah, yes. Yeah, for those that are not aware, Australia, for the most part, especially on the eastern side, has become plagued again with more COVID nonsense. So we're being subjected to lockdowns and restrictions, travel restrictions, all that kind of stuff. Apparently, the Delta variant is going rank in this country. And Australia is getting a bit of a reputation for very, very poor uptake of the vaccine. For a, let's say, a non-third world country that has quantities of the vaccine available to the general population. And I guess it's partly to do with the way that they rolled out the vaccinations that there's been a limited uptake, but there's also, the fake news and the nonsense that anti-vaxxers and stuff carry on about. And
it's gotten really interesting with the anti-vax thing. Like, to be honest with you, like, I just don't know who these people are listening to. And ultimately, like, what's their plan? Is the plan to just wing it and hope for the best at this point? Because, I mean, I don't see how that's a good idea, considering we know that it's a virus that can definitely be problematic for a lot of people, right?
I think it really highlights the level of entitlement that a lot of people have got nowadays, that they can determine that they don't have to do what everyone else should be doing because they're too important, etc. I think that's definitely a facet, and also definitely the like you allude to there. Whoa, my ears have just gone nuts.
I don't know what that was. That was a weird sound.
You can hear it too.
Just for a second there, I was like, what is that?
I didn't hear it. Do you think I made it? But I didn't do anything, I don't think.
No, all my sound sort of, in the movie, like in one of the Star Wars movies, those bombs out in space that Boba Fett used,
Oh yeah, so
and they went.
whang.
It was like all of my sound just went sucked right into my head,
Right.
and then I could only hear out of my left ear, and in my right ear it was just going me. I may have just had an aneurysm.
You may have, but I heard it, so it can't be internal. I was hearing
Interesting.
weird noises. It was some kind of like interference noise. I don't know. Maybe your
But
earbuds were going crazy or something.
What was I saying before that though?
You were saying
That
it was
really-
it's a real sign of the kind of entitlement you see from a lot of people in regards to them just like, oh, I'm just gonna not get vaccinated, and then very odd. Like I don't understand what the end game is of like I'm gonna not get vaccinated.
Mm.
Like I don't understand like where do you progress from here? Because then you're just like, well, screw everybody else, right? Basically.
And
Is that
we are
is that the plan like for the rest of your life at this point? Like that's where
deny
you're.
science forever.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, is that the plan with like everything, or is it just insulated to this one, this particular vaccine? Right? Is that?
I don't
But you
think
still
it is
take the
insulated.
polio vaccine. Like you'll still go for that one. Or
Maybe
like,
they
I don't
wouldn't
know.
if they were around back then.
What's that?
Maybe they wouldn't have done the polio if they were around back then.
I really don't think that. I really doubt that. I mean, the thing is that like this all seems like kind of politically motivated. Of like, well, I'm not going to take the vaccine because I don't know, some dumb politician or something you listen to like said it's not a good idea. Like, but they don't really have any reasoning behind why it's not a good idea. I don't know. It just the whole thing just really doesn't make any sense to me. But it's like, but you're still gonna use your cell phone and drive around in your car and follow all these and utilize all these other technologies and plus all the other vaccines you probably had, which you were fine from. I don't understand. Like, what's like, that's the thing that I don't get is like, what's the plan like long term? Is it just F everybody forever? Like, yeah, I don't know where do you start to draw the line of like, you don't care about the community at all, I guess. I mean, I don't know. But
Well, again, that takes back to the selfish entitlement, doesn't it?
right.
And yeah, Pam, I'm sure a lot of people were disappointed. And hello, Pam, by the way, welcome. Disappointed that they weren't magnetic afterwards. And Geek Boy also stating that his 5G did not get better at all after the vaccine. And we've got all these silly anti-5G protests going on as well. Masks have become compulsory again whenever you go into shops and stuff. And yesterday, when I went into the local stupid market, I ran into a friend of mine, and even though they've got signs on the windows saying it is a condition of entry to this store that you wear a face mask, and there's people in there without a face mask, so I'm not sure if they had to kick up a stink at the front door to be allowed in or not. But I went and chatted to my friend without her mask, and she was, "What are you wearing that for? It's all just a hoax." And as soon as she said that, I just laughed in her face and turned around and walked away. I don't think we'll be friends anymore.
I mean, that here's the weird part is that like people are willing to just give up like friendships, association, like I mean, people are willing to completely isolate themselves because they read some random thing on the internet.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
it's
take
very
it.
bizarre. It's very bizarre to me. And I don't know if you're familiar with the guy from All Gas No Brakes.
No.
Oh, okay, he has a very big YouTube channel, and he recently had to rebrand because all gas, no brakes, basically got bought by a giant company. He fell for a bad idea.
Yeah, right.
He got sponsorship, and then they owned the rights to it. It's like Prince, you know. It happened to Prince, happened to this guy, but he was basically talking. I listened to a long discussion with him today because he's been going around to like all the political rallies he could go to in the States and just interviewing people, and then kind of editing it together. And you know, I mean, he's not really like making people say anything or whatever. He's just like, here, I have a microphone, and you can say what you want, and I'll ask you some questions or whatever, you know. And he had kind of a pretty good take on how some of this stuff has seemed to get a grip, you know. And one of the things that he was talking about was the wellness groups, you know, like the alternative wellness groups, which, you know, I have a lot of, well, I'm associated. There's a lot of people I know. There we go. That's a better way to put it. That are into that like alternative wellness, you know, where it's like you can't go to the doctor; they're just going to give you Western medicine, you know. And it's like, oh, okay, well, do you have a better like Eastern medicine? Like, no. Like, I know this guy who just kind of made up some stuff about how to, so you could be no longer congested, you know. And you're like, well, I mean, if we're talking about some old Chinese medicine or something like that, like, oh, okay, this has been time tested. It just happens to be from the other side of the planet. Like, okay, let's do it.
Might be worth a
check
shot,
that out.
though.
But you know, it's like, oh, you just need to align your chakras, and then you won't have a cold anymore. You know, it's like, well,
Such a simple process.
yeah, you know, and it's just kind of wacky nonsense. And it seems that like that's where a lot of this stuff sort of started to get a foothold, you know. And it's one of those things, you know, I could at least understand where somebody that's like a super health nut that like runs marathons and you know, only eats like organic food from their backyard or whatever, you know what I mean? Like those kinds of people. Like, I'll work out 3 times a day and I'm just a health nut, you know. Like if those people were like, I don't know, man. You know, I spend all my time making sure my body's perfect and I don't want to put anything foreign in it. Like I could at least understand like that take, you know? Like I could understand at least. But the whole like, oh, I read a thing on Facebook, so now I'm not going to take the vaccine. It's like, well, who posted it? What is this, and why is this important to you? Suddenly, it's just weird to me. It's just very, I don't know. It's very strange.
I guess a lot of people are. Oh, hello, Calypso. Welcome, and Mike Kinseth. Welcome, guys. Good to see us. Scary Terry as well. And Lonnie. Oh, shit, now I've said hello. I've forgotten what I was going to say. Oh, that's right. I guess people have seen a lot of pictures on Facebook of their friends' cupcakes and special dinners and whatnot. So they know that happened and it's true. So if everything else on Facebook must be real as well, so I better believe it.
Right.
Because I know I saw some cupcakes on there this one time that were great. Get him. Oh, he got pretty close then. Getting old, shaky boy. He knows to chase the ibis out of the backyard. They're the only birds he chases now. Jess Shrimp Granny as well. Hi, Jess. How's it going? And I can only assume that Scungy has started to do that drawing that she was going to start last week. Or are you on something else, Scungy?
I'm just doodling.
Doodling. Oh, he likes a bit of doodling.
Doodly-doo. Are you doodly doing?
Not so much.
Oh,
Yeah,
well.
yeah, T-Bones, that's right. What's the word I was after? We're not an economically struggling country, and we've got loads and loads of vaccine here, but yeah, we're just being
See,
a wee bit slack. Sorry.
I don't like keep up with the news because I just don't want
Most
to.
of it's shit.
But I was reading something that actually, that our government's like kind of fucked up and we don't have a lot of the vaccine. And so they're pushing all these, they've spent like, I don't know, but it said something like 40 million on an ad campaign trying to encourage people to get the vaccine. But then it was responded to by all these people who were like wanting to be able to get the vaccine, and actually there's none available for them. People who are working in even hospitals, hotel quarantines, and things like that had been coming forward to say that even though there's this campaign by the government to say you should get the vaccine, that they've been unable to actually get it when they're the people who really need it. But yeah, like I said, I don't have anything else to work out how valid that is. That's just something I read a couple of days ago. So
yeah, that's the thing. Like, I mean, to me, that would be a news story. You know what I mean? Of like, well, we're trying to take the vaccine, but there is none. Like that's something that is newsworthy. But people that are just like, nah, I'm not gonna, because you're like, whoa. Or it's like, oh, this is all just a conspiracy. It's like, have you ever told a secret to somebody? I mean, just something that like you didn't want other people to know about, right? Did that secret get kept? Like maybe once out of 10 times or something, but like to imagine that somehow there's a conspiracy that like everybody on the planet's in on or whatever, like I don't know, it's bizarre. And then everybody's like all these conspiracy theories have changed, like I literally heard a conspiracy theorist friend of mine the other day. No, I never said it was a hoax. I said that it was lab made, and it's like, no, you said this was a hoax, man. Like, but now it's man made. Now it's from a lab somewhere. So it's like, so this whole time while you were claiming that it was a hoax, that none of that mattered, because now you're on the back foot and you can just say like, oh no, I was saying that this is man made, and that's the conspiracy now. And that's like one of the consistent things that I find is that like that's generally how these things go, where it's like, oh no, I'm just going to completely change what I've been saying this whole time, and it's just bizarre. It's not like you learned new information, because there was information about it being man-made. Like how you couldn't keep that a secret. Like everybody would know, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this pertains
absolutely.
to the whole world, and like
I
maybe
think-
one group would want to keep it secret, but the other group would not, like
I think it's funny too that it's often the anti-vaxxers and the anti-5G people that insult the rest of the people by calling them sheeple. And
Right.
I think a lot of the anti-vaxxers and anti-5G people, they're the prime example of sheeple, because they're not doing their own research and learning whatever they can about the subject that they're trying to discuss. They're just following whatever, Elizabeth down the road said, or what Brian over there said. And I don't want to do, I want to remain friends with this guy, so I better not do, something contrary to his opinion. They're all just, they're trying to fit in. They're trying to not lose friends, and they're trying to appear like, modern people, but in fact they're appearing quite foolish.
Right. I mean, that's honestly the problem is that like none of these people ever have to really be put to the test on whatever it is that they, you know what I mean? Like they never put themselves in a position where it's like you have to actively defend whatever random nonsense it is that you've come up with, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's always just like, oh well, I'll just change my story now, and then I'll just go with some other thing, and it's not like they ever like get in a formal debate where they actually have to cite and put citations out there or anything like that. Like I recently was listening to a libertarian trying to debate his side of how he thinks society should be and whatnot. And the reality is like it all comes down as in a house of cards when you realize like, oh, well, a lot of the systems that we have in the world are because there's a bunch of problems that need resolving, right? You know, it's like, well, there should be zero government intervention, you know, but then it's like, but what about property rights? Oh, well, the government should intervene if there's property rights, but then it's like, but what if we need regulations on, you know, medication and stuff like that? Well, you know, you should research and find a good doctor, you know, like it's like all this crazy stuff. And it's like, well, how could I afford the time to do all of these things that you claim that you're going to be able to do in a day, and also have a job and have a kid and have a mortgage and have all these things that you have to do? You know, it's like, it's impossible. Like, and the reality is like humans are community creatures, right? Like,
Very much so.
even if you de-evolve us all the way down into going back to the barter system and all that stuff, it's like, yeah, you might be a pretty good wheat farmer, but you probably need some meat, and you probably need wagon wheels, and you probably need clothing, and you probably need, you know what I mean? Like the list, you just keep naming things forever, but like you don't have time to do all of the stuff. And like Cro-Magnon man figured that out. Like, you know, 40,000 years ago, it was like, well, there's just not enough time in the day to not get eaten by the lions, right? And
Yeah, it's almost like we need a collapse of civilization to you know, educate the masses on what's really important and key in life.
well, I don't necessarily think it has to go that far.
Oh, come on, don't deny us a civilization collapse. It'll be fun.
I mean,
it'll be fun for everyone almost.
it's the antithesis of fun. It's the opposite of fun, you know. And you know,
Clearly
one of the things that I agree with Joe Rogan on is that like I'm on team people, you know, like I want all the people to be making it and having a reasonably good time, you know, like, and that includes all of the people, right? It's not like I'm just selectively thinking about my family or something like that. I mean, it includes all the people. Like, I don't think it's going to work on this planet if we're not like, you know, continuing to cooperate and move forward as a community, and however that looks, you know, but with the whole world, you know, like, you know, technology is at the point now where we're able to extract and do so much stuff that it's like, if this really got out of hand, like this planet probably just wouldn't exist with humans on it anymore. You know, that's honestly, I think if I don't know, if we were in World War II type situation again, like I don't think humanity would make it. I don't think it would.
It'd be a very, very big restart, wouldn't it?
I mean, I think it would just be the end, honestly. Like the way technology is now, I mean, it wouldn't work. It would be the end, man. I think that's the reality of it. And so much stuff would just be destroyed that, you know, the people just wouldn't make it. The environment would collapse, and I don't know, amoebas or whatever creatures would probably still exist or whatever, but I don't think people would make it.
G'day, Zip Gun. Drama D, long time no see, Drama D. And Tropico. How's it going? Tropico had a UFO over his boat last night.
Ooh.
Tropico probably had 6 too many mushrooms.
An unidentified flying satellite.
Or an owl with a radioactive herring in its hand.
There was a huge UFO sighting like just before the pandemic. People had all these videos, all these cell phone videos of this crazy thing on the horizon, crazy UFO, and then it was like a couple people that were closer, you know, and it was like a blimp with advertising LEDs all over it. You're like, yep, okie dokie. But yeah, I'll admit it. The videos from way far away, it's like, whoa, what is that? That's crazy. What's going on? You know, and then it's like, let's get a little closer. Oh, it's a blimp covered in human technology to sell you something. I forget what the advertising was for, but it was legit just advertising.
Yeah, if there's like my opinion on alien civilizations is there's certainly some out there, but I have a strange feeling that you know, we may be the most advanced out there, so I don't think that anyone else out there has space travel worked out yet. But you know,
I would say that here's the weird thing is that like the opportunity for there to be intelligent life out there is just so monumentally overwhelming
yeah,
that there probably is. But the thing that rarely gets taken into consideration is the astronomical timeline, right? Like there might have been all these amazing civilizations and technological marvels and whatnot with other alien species and other universe. But if it was 100,000 years ago, we would have no idea that it existed, right? Other than hopefully getting a chance to see the light from their civilization, right? But
yeah.
we'd just be looking back in time, and by the time we tried to get a hold of them, they probably could have all died. You know, thousands and thousands of years ago, right?
And if they do have the you know, the technology to travel through space that much, they're obviously a very advanced civilization. So they get to a place like this, and you know, maybe observe from the dark side of the moon for a few days or something, and they go, yeah, nah, let's turn around and go back. These guys haven't got it sorted out yet. They're not
Well,
ready.
I don't even know. I don't even know if that would be the case or not. But like, I mean, I kind of look at it in the terms of like, if they found this planet, right, they would probably just interact with it like a science experiment or something.
Yeah.
But the reality is, like, if we're hoping to meet an alien species, like, to me, the time factor is the issue. Is that like, if you came here 1,000 years ago, you would have run into a bunch of weirdos, and how did they document it properly? You know, like, I don't know. Like, you'd have to hit this time in order for us to even apply to it, right? And if you just flew around in space for an extra like 5 years at light speed, suddenly I forget what the math is, but it's some kind of kooky amount of time goes by. But like maybe it's 500 years from now, or whatever the math is. I'm no wizard at math as far as that stuff goes, but I know that like when you're flying at light speed, your time slows down, and everything else is essentially going faster, right?
Well, I guess that's all theoretical, really, isn't it? Because no one's been able to prove it yet, have they?
Well, the Hadron Collider, yeah. I mean, they
Has
throw
it proved
particles
it?
around, and then the particles are affected at a different time than
Yeah, right. Fair enough.
the
I did
particles
not
that
know
aren't. What's that?
I didn't know that. I thought it was all still theoretical impact on humans traveling at light speed.
Well, I mean, I think everything's theoretical. I think until you have an actual
Until you
have it actually affect a human, I guess. But also at the same time, like if it's true and you send somebody out and they fly around at light speed, then you have to like wait for them to get here, which may or may not be like an extremely long amount of time, right?
Yeah. Oh, g'day, Aquaman. How's it going? MK Ultra was a conspiracy theory until it was proven. MK Ultra, that was the mind control one, wasn't it? Or was that acid? They were giving people acid or something.
I think that was the one where they gave acid, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Um, but it's like if that's the right one, and it's like, you know, Ken Kesey and all that, right? It's like LSD wasn't a conspiracy. Like LSD existed, and like the government gave it to people. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the conspiracy part of it.
Oh, the government gave
Was
stuff
that
to
the
people
government
and
was
tried to see
doing
what
it.
happened to them. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a conspiracy, because like that has basically just like always happened with humans. It's just some of these happen to be from the government, I guess, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it's how we figured out to eat lobsters, right?
Good David Tatum. G'day, mate. Welcome. First timer, I believe. Timepieces have shown differences at high speed orbits. So yeah, I guess that's evidence to support the theory. What was it called? Project Midnight or something?
Which
The
one?
CIA one. That was a pretty interesting story. Give people acid and see if they'll go and kill people if you tell them to.
Right. That they won't.
Yeah, they're having too much fun looking at the clouds.
Yeah. If you actually watch some of the old CIA tapes, I believe some of them have surfaced. They actually, there's actually like some research now. I don't remember where it's from, but I have some in some of the psychobiology books that I have. It's highlighted in there that, you know, they documented the effect that LSD had on people, and you know, they initially assumed that it was going to, you know, you'd basically just be able to persuade people into doing anything or whatnot, because they seemed kind of malleable and whatnot, and they kind of. But the reality is just like a lot of drugs, it put you in a mind state that kind of took away a lot of your inhibitions and whatnot. And generally, like when people's mind state and their inhibitions are taken away, that doesn't turn them into a killer or whatever. Like it generally just makes them want to do things that are generally enjoyable to the human.
Yeah.
For
That
humans,
doesn't
you know,
necessarily
it's
make
like
them suggestible
they want to
clients.
eat food and fornicate, right? Like it's generally like you kind of just go into the like, well, I'm kind of more just like a kid right now. I just want to have fun, you know.
Yeah, because kids be wanting to fornicate all the time.
It's generally how it rolls.
They just don't know it yet.
Well, I mean, when I mean like a kid, you know, I don't know, 15-year-old or something, you know.
Yeah, I always found the day after LSD was the fornication period. The next day it was always, whoa, I've just got to keep going.
I always found that there's so many more interesting things than fornicating if you're in that state. There's
Yeah,
so
when you're
many
tripping.
interesting things to explore that's just like not even in
Yeah, I could
the
do that anytime.
mix. Yeah, that's right.
Well, it could just
Yeah.
be a part of what you're up to, you know, a portion of your extracurricular activities.
Geek boy. Just want to eat and fornicate is a sign of being on drugs. That just proves someone has been slipping something into my water all my life.
Generally. I'd say that's generally true.
Generally true that someone's been slipping something into his water, or generally
Indeed.
most people just want to eat and fornicate.
Both.
Both. A little from column A and everything
But
from the other.
I think that the point of like what Corvus was saying is that, yeah, everyone wants to do all these things. And what drugs do is they stop you from stopping yourself from doing them because you're worried about what you should be doing instead. And instead you just do those things that
Right.
you really want to do, and you admit to wanting to do them because you've
Right.
got not anything holding you back from it.
Mm-hmm. Well, you got to think like the wildest thing that you could do, because a large group of the people that they tested it on, believe it or not, was like housewives in the late 50s and stuff. And like the wildest thing you could have done back then, generally speaking, this is very generalized, but like the wildest thing you could have done back then was been like, I want to have sex, you know, like, whoa, oh my God, she's crazed, you know, and it's like,
Right, what was it back then? Hysterical in the
she's
50s.
in hysterics, you know. It's like, yeah, very.
So many housewives diagnosed with hysteria in the 50s and 60s.
How weird would that be to be a man back then, right? And a woman is on LSD and she wants to entertain the idea of having sex, and you immediately go to like, wait, she wants to have sex? That must mean that we could have her kill people. Oh, you know, like,
That's a
you know what I
logical
mean?
progression.
Well, clearly she's out of her mind. like, oh my God.
I heard though that what they did was suggesting that actually sex was the treatment for hysterical women.
Well, that was the.
If women are being, you know,
That was the massage
they just
thing.
need.
See you, my fish tanks aquatics. Thanks for swinging by. Yeah, well, you know, maybe that was just there was a lot of dodgy doctors in those asylums that those hysterical women got sent off to, and
Right.
I'm sure there
they
were.
encouraging them that, yes, this is the only cure.
The only cure.
G'day, GRB. How's it going, mate? That's wombats, GRB. Because
Who's wombats?
koalas only eat leaves. They don't eat the roots, but wombats will eat the roots and leaves as well.
Right.
My
Well, anyhow,
dad-
as far as the COVID stuff goes here, we're having it also. The Delta variant is spreading
Resurgence.
around, but the states have regressed to the like, okay, well, if you're not vaccinated, you're the one taking the chance. 'Cause it's available and you could go get it, and it's free, and it's available and you could go get it. It will cost you nothing. You know, and I legit had a conversation with a guy the other day that was like, "Oh, I just haven't had time." I was like,
yeah, that's a good one.
"It takes 5 minutes." You know, like, okay,
I think I've seen a few videos of people doing the drive-through ones in America, and it takes like, you know, you might wait in a queue for 6 minutes and then 2 minutes to get your injection, another 5 minutes to sit around and wait to see if there's any adverse instant reactions. Off you go.
Yeah.
Oh, Nola Jane's here too. G'day, Nola Jane.
And that's the thing, is that like people, I know that like wacky conspiracy people is like, well, they're going to watch and see if you have any reactions to it, and it's like, yeah, allergic reactions.
Yeah. They're not trying to hang spoons off your elbows or anything.
Yeah, you know, it's like to see if
Testing
you're
your Wi-Fi
allergic
strength.
to an item in there, because you know the United States has no like no realistically organized healthcare as far as like the insurance side and stuff. You know, it's like when you go, they'll ask you like, "Are you allergic to anything?" Like they always ask you, "Are you allergic to anything?" Because they don't have it written down. And you know, like they don't have your file. Can't open. They can't. You know, it's just, I don't know. It's so stupid. It's so stupid that I could like give somebody a QR code and here's my Twitter account. Here's my Instagram. You know, but like can't even give a QR code to somebody and like have them know what you're allergic to or whatnot. You know, it's bizarre.
Well, that's another system in Australia that we've got, is that now we have electronic medical records, so it makes it easier for your health practitioners to bring up all of the information about you and your medical life. And obviously, a lot of those same people, balked at that scheme. They don't want their information readily available, but ultimately, it's there for your own benefit to be able to have accurate, adequate medical health help when you need it.
Yep.
And all of your previous situations, X-rays, tests, anything like that is all held on your My Health record, and it's available for health professionals to give you the best possible service that they can provide to you.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Scungy, I cut you off.
No, that's okay. Yeah. I just I think that one of the things is, I get the whole thing of the internet becoming this place where people just feed off misinformation and believe everything that they read and hear. But I think that it's healthy for people to have some sort of skepticism about the government and think for themselves. But I get that. Like, that's not really what we're arguing here. But I think that just blind faith that every decision the government makes is definitely right stops us. One of the whole things that we need as a society is people to be questioning it, but intelligently.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, that's the thing is that, like, you should have a healthy skepticism of most things.
Everything.
But you also have to display a level of critical thinking that is very important.
Well, that seems to be the largest missing component, doesn't it? Is that there's not enough critical thinking going on.
Well, it's like I often hear like a lot of advocates for free speech, right? That will talk about like, well, everyone should be free to say whatever because of free speech, right? And then in the marketplace of ideas, people will figure out what's true and what's not true. And it's like, okay, I understand that. But that's assuming that the people that are getting told whatever information have time to hear the other side and then critically think about what information that they've received, right? Like, I heard the pro and I heard the con, and then I looked at these few studies that went into it, and I actually read them. I didn't read the footnotes. I looked at how the study was done. I looked at this. I looked at that. It's assuming that like people have time to do that, and it's like, if you get sick, you go to the doctor because that's the doctor's specialty, right? And at some point in time, if somebody has proven themselves to be just legitimately not an expert in a field, but they're giving you what is masked as expert advice on a subject, like at some point in time, you have to tell them to stop doing that, right? Because you could be putting people into danger, right? Now, how do you get to that point? I don't know, but I think it would require more people actively working on critical thinking and gathering information from both sides. But you would also need the time in order to do that. And oftentimes, like, there's a lot of stuff that's put together as far as whatever is presented to people, right? That that you never hear the other side, and like one of those examples, and I've been highly critical of like Tucker Carlson, and one of the reasons for that is that he regularly, frequently, and consistently lies about things all of the time, and they're pretty easy to debunk. But if you just watch that show and you watch that show for an hour and then you have to go to bed, that just starts to become the truth that you've heard. And then it starts to become the truth. And like on an example around me here, right? There's a knockoff version of Tucker Carlson, and he has a radio program where he just goes on there and it's just an opinion education. It's like it's just my opinion show, right? But it's presented like this is the news. And Tucker Carlson's show has gone all the way to the Supreme Court in the United States, and their defense has been, this is an entertainment show only. This is not the news, but it's like, but why is it presented as a news program then?
I'm not sure I'm familiar with who Tucker Carlson is.
He's a Fox News op-ed guy, and he is very, very, very popular in the United States. And so, but that guy and that show, well, there's a local version of that here, where they play on like talk radio, right? And one of my friends came over to my house, and he was talking to me about how the government spends all of our tax money so irresponsibly because there's a huge like a huge freeway out here that they've been working on for a long time. And this same guy on that radio show was saying, if you just go out and look, they've built the bridge wrong, because there was basically a bridge to nowhere, right? It was just hanging out off the side of the freeway. And he basically made up a story that was that they built this bridge wrong. There's your tax money at work with this bridge being completely built wrong. But the problem is that if you go look up the project details of what phase that portion of the project was going to be, so that bridge part that was hanging out open like that for like a year and a half was supposed to be there, because in a year and a half's time they built a new road that came up and over and connected to that, right? But the timeline is so far down the line that you will never be able to contact and reach those people that have believed for the last year and a half that they wasted the money and they built the road wrong. It's just one of those things where it's just a complete and utter lack of knowledge of the project and what phase that the project was in. And they never had anybody that was on the highway like planning commission or anything like that on the show. It's just literally a guy yelling about how your taxation is theft, and all this like crazy nonsense. But nobody ever pushes back on it. There's never anybody on the show that would say like, no, that's phase 3. Right now it's in phase 2, and phase 3 that will connect the HOV carpool. I don't know what they call it in Australia.
Because like the people who know about it don't give enough credit to the person who's raving shit about it to even validate it by answering to it. Well, there's never an opportunity for them to talk to those people who listen to that show.
Yeah, because it's only just one guy screaming at the camera sort of thing.
Right.
Incidentally, if you like foxes, if you're on Twitter as well, check out Hourly Fox, one of my favorite Twitter follows. Just saying, sorry for the interjection. It's just nice to get pictures of foxes hourly in cute positions and whatnot. It used to be Daily Fox, but I think they must have got inundated with fox pictures, so they turned it into Hourly Fox.
They're just blasting them out every hour on the hour?
Yeah, well, I don't know if they maintain a specific schedule, but one would assume if it's in the name, they're going to be generous with their fox pictures.
Solid. I almost got a fox picture the other day, but it was too crafty.
Yeah, we've certainly got them hanging around here. You can smell them when they've been around. Scungy knows a fair bit.
You can smell them when they've been dead in your car.
What?
You can smell a fox when it's been dead in your car.
I meant to tell you the other day too that there was a pretty impressive large red carcass under the what's the exit before your one? Not Clothier's Creek, the other one.
Kudra
Cudgera Creek Road. Yeah, under the overpass there was a large red carcass, but I couldn't work out if it was a dog or a fox or a wallaby. Did you see it?
No, I didn't.
And there's been
I haven't been that way.
there was two on the side of the freeway as well that I saw the other day. But
I noticed that you're telling me you saw them, but you didn't pick them up for me.
No, yeah. Well, I've heard all of your horror stories about putting a dead fox in your car and the fragrance that it provided.
Yeah, but that memory will live with me forever.
You're going to have that for a long time.
I've not heard this story.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
Scungy will tell it.
So Mikey sent me a message and said, "Oh, there's a dead fox on the highway." So I went with my kids.
Hang on. This is when Scungy was collecting bones and stuff for
I'm always collecting
to make jewelry and stuff out of. So that's the preface to that as well. I just don't go around saying there's a dead body, go and get it. That's not my modus operandi.
Well, hopefully it is, because I do collect bones. I do collect them. So I went with like all of my kids in the car to pick up this dead fox, and I took like a box and like a big plastic tub to put it in. Mm-hmm. And we drove out and we stopped on the side of the highway and managed to get it into the box and into the car. But that was the worst smell that I have ever smelled in my whole life. And we put it in the car with us, but we had to like wind down all the windows, and we're all four of us with our heads out the window, like I'm driving with my head out the window to try and get some air because it smelled so bad. I did consider, I was like, let's just stop and drop it off. Let's not take it home. Like, it's really bad. And they were like, no, we've gone this far. We can do it.
And it was only like a 10-minute drive.
So I managed to get it home, and then I lugged it out into the faraway paddock in its little tub. We got filled up with water to macerate and get rid of all of the meaty stuff. Right? But so that was the worst, terrible smell. Like, it was just so thick and rich, and you just couldn't not get away from it. But after it had macerated for a couple of weeks in a tub of water, it was worse.
Oh.
So I went like out to tip out the water onto the ground, and I'd like stop the car because it's sort of way down the paddock bit. So I like stop the car. I'm like, I'm just going to run and tip it over and run away again. And my mum was in the car with us that time, and we like sped up the driveway, and my mum was almost in tears going, "It's following us." And we all went home and like had showers just from being like, say, 20 meters away from that bucket getting tipped out. That's how strong it was.
And then because it was tipped out on the grass.
And then because it was tipped out on the grass, these people came to do some lawn mowing, and they mowed over the bones.
Oh.
So we didn't even get to keep the skull. The skull was destroyed by a paddock slasher.
I got to keep lots of bones, but yeah, the skull was the thing that got crushed, which was the main thing I was really excited about keeping.
I had a buddy that would do that. I forget, he used a chemical though. I can't remember what it was. Some kind of chemical that he was using that would
to macerate.
Yeah, it would accelerate that process pretty quick.
I haven't heard of anything.
Lime is the one that I've heard of.
But won't that damage the bones as well?
I think that lye will, yeah.
No, lime, Lime, not Lye.
Nah. Well, lye will, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, I've done lots of research, and I've never heard of anything else to put in there for that maceration part. One of the best things apparently is you can get these beetles, but like it's a bit of work and investment to get the beetles. You want to be doing enough carcasses that
to maintain a colony of beetles, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Hello, Crystal, by the way. Welcome. Natural Aquariums. Hello. Yeah, it was an interesting process. And there was when I went and dropped Abel off for his studio session the other day, and on the way back in a very similar spot on both sides of the freeway, there were some rather large, dark feathered birds. And I was thinking, eagles often will get on the road and chew on some roadkill and they get run over themselves. And I was thinking there might be 2 wedge-tailed eagle carcasses just a little bit south of where you are, Scungy. But I also had the possible thought that they might just be scrub turkeys.
Or water chickens, because there's lots of those.
Oh no, they were big. They were big birds.
Those water chickens are big. They're as big as turkeys.
What do you call water chickens?
Oh, I don't know. It's those ones, and they like black, but they've got the little red thing on their nose.
They're not as big as scrub turkeys. They're half the size. Black moors, they're called. No, not black moors. That's a fish, isn't it?
Yeah.
Moor hens, they're called. Moor hens. They're tiny compared to bush chooks.
Nah.
Yeah.
They're not very far different. I guess it depends how big your scrub turkey is. But, like, there might be some that grow, like, bigger, but they're still, like, a decent-sized bird.
G'day, Daniel Velez. How's it going?
Oh.
But yeah, it's potentially worth a 5-10 minute journey down the freeway to see what those big brown birds are.
Sounds like it.
If they're wedgies. Oh, it looks exactly like Corvus.
Exactly.
Spitting image.
'Tis my visage.
It's the shoulder blades, shoulder
That's right.
points. But yeah, I nearly because it was the second time. When was it? Yesterday that I had to take him up there again for a meeting and stuff, and I came past again, and it was still sitting there on the side of the road, and I was so close to pulling over on the side of the freeway to go and have a look, but I was in traffic and stuff, so I decided not to. But it'd be definitely worth a look. Imagine if it was a wedgie and you got a wedgie skeleton.
Yeah, it would be pretty cool. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen them come down to the road though. You see lots of crows on the road. But you see lots of eagles around, but I don't see them like they're usually like catching moving things out of the grasses.
I think lots of wedge-tail eagles around Australia succumb to traffic all year round because of their because if they can't get a live feed, they'll definitely what's the word? Why have I just lost the word? They feed on something that's already dead. Scavenge. They'll definitely scavenge food when food is scarce. And a lot of people having seen wedge-tailed carcasses on roads and stuff encourage other motorists if they see roadkill on the road to pull over and drag it off the road so that eagles don't get run over as well.
There was one that got hit down at the bottom of Reserve Creek Road. But it was okay, and all of the people stopped to help it. And it
A wedgie?
Yeah.
That's a wedge-tailed eagle for those watching at home. Australia's largest raptor or bird of prey. 3-meter wingspan.
Oh,
Beautiful bird. But yeah, definitely worth a drive and a look to see if it's one of those. I mean, you've already got a necklace made from a bush chook's vertebrae. Even if you get some more bush chook vertebrae to work with, that'd be pretty choice too.
I can't really have too many bones, I don't think. One of the things, often if I have too few, I become too precious about them and then I don't make things with them. But if I've got in abundance, then I'm more free with them.
Yeah.
It's the same like when I've got paper. If I've got like heaps of good paper, then I'm like just so happy and draw like nuts. And then if I've only got a few pieces, I can't even do one in case I waste it. What if I wreck it?
Yeah, I do that with two things: canvas and aquarium stuff.
Gotta
if I
make
have,
it
like,
count.
if I have like lots of aquarium stuff, it's like I'll start going bonkers and making some crazy things. But when I'm like out of material, it's like, gotta start conserving and not do anything.
Yeah. Do nothing. Yeah. So I want all of the bones. I've got a few tubs out there at the moment, and I've got in here. I've got a little mousey here.
Oh, where did you get that from? Wow. Did you actually? Did you?
No,
Did you do-
actually, the one that you gave me is in the peroxide at the moment.
I was going to say, did you peroxide that because it looks whiter than when it was at my house?
Yeah. So it's gonna go on like a little staff. I'm so bad at this.
Oh, can you sand the shaft of that down so it can go in my poacher action figure? That looks like a great stuff.
Maybe. Yeah, but I want to make the person that holds it.
Righto, fair enough.
I will make you one. You can see, but yeah, that's coming along to get made at the moment. It's sitting here on the work table, waiting to go. But the other one's in the peroxide. But peroxide's kind of expensive for someone as poor as I am, because you need a lot of it to cover all the bones.
I just on that note, Bentley. My internet looks like it's stuffing me up again. But on Bentley's stream, he mentioned going to the cheap shop for your peroxide.
So, like the dollar store.
Yeah, that's exactly the one that he mentioned.
I don't think they sell it at our ones.
Possibly, but it could be worth a look. You know, they sell all the mouthwash and stuff like that could be cheap knockoffs. So maybe if you buy a 3% peroxide from, you know, our plastic shit worlds, it might not be exactly 3%. Might be a little bit more watered down, but still could be a worthy investment.
I think it's meant to be. I think the ones we buy are 4%. I think.
No, we're all 3%, unless you go to the chemist and get your pure peroxide to make your own dilutions, I believe.
Peroxide.
I thought the ones I had said 4%, but yeah. Anyway, I can check it out because, yeah, I do love bones and I want to use them in heaps of things.
The Natural Aquarium says the shaft is too large for Dr. Black.
Indeed.
I've not met a shaft I haven't been able to take. Natural.
It's a bold statement.
Well, I may have walked funny for a few days, but I'm game. And the room goes quiet.
Well, you know, it's just
I'm always
the volume
quiet.
of truth. It's just strong.
Visuals that people generate.
True.
Yeah, well, Jess Shrimp Granny seems to be keen to see what sculpture you come up with to go with that staff.
Yeah, okay. I'm in a I'm wanting to do some. I've sort of pulled out some of my paper clay and stuff to start doing some more sculpty things. I was thinking too if I can pull off some good ones because I want to do a like solo exhibition, and I thought it would be good if I can have some sculptural things as well as drawing some paintings. So I'm sort of thinking that.
Tropico, we do, but they're not legal still. No, recreational THC is legal in Australia, but if you're a resourceful type of person, you can come across them. Just like manufactured edibles from the USA, you can certainly come across some nerds ropes if you go looking for them.
But you might find that they're not genuine. You may find that they are fake, and you don't have as much fun as you hoped you would have.
And no recourse.
A 400 milligram rope should be fairly effective, yeah. But no, not yet. I'm yet to try the full one that I've got left over. But
yeah, but you had full one, even if it was spaced slightly.
What?
You should get an effect from like a quarter of that rope.
Yeah, that's right. I should, but I didn't.
Not from the whole thing.
But potentially I might have to have like a week off smoking and drinking and stuff to be able to notice the little tingle that I might get from it.
No, I don't believe that is true, because as a seasoned user, 100 should still give you an effect.
Yeah, I agree.
So 400 is fake. That's what I reckon, anyway. I don't know what to do
regarding.
I think I'm going to just go for a minute and have a cigarette, if that's okay.
I thought you were going to say go and make another espresso martini.
I might do that too.
Uh-oh, Shrimp Granny just got the A-OK.
Yay?
For what?
I don't know.
Maybe the THC vapes in Virginia. G'day, Gaffer. How's it going? Bates and Genetics. G'day. Welcome, first timer, unless you're here under another name. What did he say, though? Or she? Sorry, I don't mean to engender you. It is the 21s. No, what are we in? The 20s. 400 is like eating half a gram of straight concentrate, lol. Put me out. Yeah, well, I did like a third of it the night before, and then I did the rest over an hour and a half sort of thing. And I mean, the night before I was a little bit pissy, and like I'd had a few drinks and I'd also smoked as well. So potentially I didn't notice it, but I did go to sleep. The next day I just didn't notice a thing, and I stayed off the booze and the smoking as well. So I was a little bit confused about that, and yeah, certainly tended towards Scungy's belief that they might be fraudulent. But I have been assured that they came out of a vending machine in Los Angeles and then came direct to Australia. Because it's legal to sell it out of vending machines in California, isn't it?
But
I don't know. Probably.
I can do anything there.
Assured, like one person assures the next, and they assure the next, and everyone's like, "Oh, yeah, it's assured."
That's true too. Chinese whispers, isn't it?
That's it. All right, back in a tick.
Pardon me. 400, Stephen. Or should I say double M triple I? Because I like to say double M triple I. I might go and wrestle a crocodile, and then maybe we talk about what happened in the Bad Batch this week or something.
We might have to.
Get that rolling before Scungy comes back.
Did she leave? Oh, where'd she go?
She's gone probably
that's
to make a martini and have a ciggy, I think.
Right, she said she was gonna go smoke.
Smoking cigarettes is cool for kids under 12. I'll be back.
Not good advice. That's not good advice. Not sanctioned by yours truly. Oh, let's roll through the chat here and see what we got. Looney, that's the ticket. Yeah, I live in SoCal, 5 shops, 5 minutes from my house. Yeah. Most things are are pretty weed legal in some of the states, you know. I think like Washington, I don't think anything is a vending machine. Well, I mean, I guess you could have a vending machine in a shop, I guess, maybe. I don't know. Been sober for many years now and have no clue. I don't know that I ever was really that into marijuana personally.
Doesn't quite work, does it?
Really sure what's going on upstairs.
Have you got noises again?
Well, it seems like everybody's just, there's a lot of noises going on upstairs. It sounds like people running around, and the people running around are supposed to be asleep.
Asleep by now?
You know, the child. It sounds like little feet are running around, and it's 45 minutes after her bedtime. I'm not really sure what's going on up there. Although Victoria was quite pissed at me that I didn't wash the dishes tonight. And so I don't know. Maybe they're staying up. Out of rage.
Nah, I wasted an up. Baby Yoda. I bought a Lego set this week that had Baby Yoda in it, and he's like a single Lego block with a head on it. But his head's made of floppy rubber, so his ears can flop in the wind when the speeder bike's going through the desert very fast.
Grogu?
Grogu, yeah, sorry, my bad. What kind of Star Wars person am I? Maintaining the Baby Yoda.
To see where that character goes.
Yeah. And I'll be excited to see if Luke and Grogu appear in Mandalorian season 3, or if it's going to be its own spin-off. Luke's Jedi Academy, I can see that as a show anytime soon.
Oh, like season 3 or the book of Boba?
I think Book of Boba Fett will avoid any contact with Grogu and Luke. Right. I think that'll be Boba's own story, because he's got a lot of stuff going on, especially in the comic books and stuff.
Right.
The storyline that they've created with after he's collected Han Solo in the carbonite, you know, there's a bunch of storyline in between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi that goes on with Boba Fett and the Han Solo frozen in carbonite.
Right.
Where it's actually
but the Mandalorian is beyond that timeline.
Yeah, it is. So
this is after he was in the Sarlacc pit.
I think Boba Fett's storyline, I think they're going to do their darndest to avoid any of the previous storylines. I think they're going to create new stuff that old Boba does, instead of going backwards to what has happened in his past.
Yeah, that's basically what I was thinking, is that like this is a whole some new stuff of him as old Boba.
Yeah, and what he can still do, and as an old man who used to be the universe's best bounty hunter, etc. Right. There's so much option for creating new storylines and stuff. I think that it'll be silly of them to revisit old stuff. They might do, you know, a couple of flashbacks to maybe to Boba Fett's history with Fennec Shand to fill that storyline up. But
Right.
due to the fact that the comics are filling all of these storylines from his past, yeah, I think that they're going to create new stories. Fingers crossed, of course,
Right.
for the TV show, so that it doesn't feel like rehashing old storylines, even if your Star Wars viewers aren't necessarily comic book readers or anything like that.
Right.
But
Yeah,
there's
I don't know.
so many good Star Wars
I really
comics.
don't. I really hope that they, I don't know, take the reasonable advice of not trying to re-expose the past like they did with, like, 1, 2, and 3. Like, you could have made 1, 2, and 3 like after you made 7, 8, and 9. I think if you'd made 7, 8, and 9 when they made 1, 2, and 3 of the movies, for instance, you could go back and make 1, 2, and 3 after the fact. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
And then you would have been much better off for making the past of, like, how this whole arc even happened, right? And I think that, like, that's the same thing with, like, the Boba Fett, as far as I'm concerned, is that, like, if you just try to redo the stuff that happened without knowing, like, does that make sense? I don't know. I don't know if I'm saying that in a way that makes sense, but like, if you try to fill out the past right now of, like, how they got where they're at, it's not very engaging. That makes sense?
I think essentially a lot of the fandom is probably, they're itching for new timelines and new storylines, and
Right.
it's like we're all quite inundated with the Skywalker storyline. We all know a lot about that they're going to be doing their darndest to to bring new storylines in, to get all this new canonical information in.
Right. So I think it's better to just proceed forward in the timeline. You know what I mean? Like, just go forward. Like, there's no reason to go back right now without context of the future. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like, because you have an opportunity right now to tell stories that, like, nobody knows anything about.
Or that fill in some blanks, sort of thing, but don't go too far back, because we already know most of the back history.
Yeah, because it's like, that he's gonna end up in the Sarlacc pit. Like, that's how that goes.
I would imagine there's probably going to be some reference to the Sarlacc pit and how he got out and stuff. I think they'll consider that to be a crucial part of the storyline.
Yeah, I think there'll be some explanation of that. Like, he'll probably be telling Fennec the story,
of how he got out.
And then where he's been, just kind of wandering around with, like, no real reason why he would be wandering around. Like, that's kind of the thing that I don't understand.
Yeah.
But hopefully they can explain that in a way that makes sense, because, like, the human that plays Boba is old, and, well, I mean,
fat.
Old's kind of a nice, or not so kind way to put it, but he's much older and he's out of shape. Like, he's definitely not what you would consider to be, like, Mandalorian fighting form or whatever. So, like, I think there has to be some kind of, like, solid reasoning story-wise of, like, kind of where he's been over the last however many years since he got out of the Sarlacc pit. I think it might provide some character development for the other Mandalorians. Like, I think it will help build some of the Mandalorian lore for the passive sort of viewership, you know. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because like if he's explaining like he got out of the Sarlacc pit and then he was like, I don't know, ashamed or something, and
that's why he hung around on Tatooine for so long without
Right.
going anywhere or doing anything.
yeah, and then just being like he needed to, I don't know, like replace his honor or some kind of nonsense like that, you know, something along that storyline of like, you know, even though Boba is like technically by some of the Mandalorians standards, right? Because we know that when he ran into Bo-Katan, she was basically trash talking him as not an actual Mandalorian, right? Because he's a clone of Jango. That maybe there's a big explanation there that he feels like he is Mandalorian, and that was part of like how he regained his armor for what I don't know, some kind of test of his intestinal fortitude or whatever. I don't know how you put it, but I think that's basically where I would put if I was writing the story. That's kind of where I would be focusing on explaining like how he was in some kind of personal turmoil around whether or not he thought he was Mandalorian or not, or something like that. You know what I mean? Does that kind of
Yeah, well, I think
make
Django
sense,
was
maybe?
Django was certainly Mandalorian, and he would have,
Right.
you know, he certainly would have trained Boba in the Mandalorian ways to a certain extent. But
Right.
yeah, I can certainly understand Bo-Katan's disdain for Boba, saying that he's not a real Mandalorian.
Well, you know, it's like it's pretty clear, like in this universe at this point, that it's pretty well understood that clones exist, right? Like it's not, you know what I mean? Like they've pulled the wool off of that. Like people know that there's clones and clones exist, and cloning is a thing that exists in this universe, and it's not like a secret that like we thought it was. You know what I mean? Kind of thing.
That one was just to go and fill up a drink, fellas. I wasn't off for another wee. I only did a wee 5 minutes ago. I don't. My child's bladder is not that small.
Kitten bladder.
Saying I was off for a piss again, but I was just going for a top up.
Because I think that like it would be a really strong storyline of sort of explaining to the non-nerd fan just how like important honor and things like that are to the Mandalorian, right? But from a perspective that isn't Din Djarin, right? Because Din Djarin is like kind of he's a part of the kind of kooky group, you know, he's kind of a part of the weirdos, you know.
Yeah, the anti-vaxxers.
Yeah, he's kind of the anti-vaxxer group.
Or anti 5G. Pick your enemy, you know.
Anti 5G. Yeah, 4G wasn't a problem. 3G wasn't a problem. 2G wasn't a problem.
Apparently,
it's 5G. It's just too many Gs, you know.
If you've got a 3G telephone in Australia, you're doomed in the next couple of months because they're removing all 3G services from our mobile phone towers.
Oh, damn.
So all of these, you know, vintage phone users have to update and get something that can at least handle 4 or 5 Gs.
Uh-oh. You got to consider your G capability, right?
Indeed, and you have to be aware of it. Not only consider it, but be aware of it.
Right.
But yeah, someone said in the chat something about Jedi's. Jess says Jedi's be cloning. There is a storyline that gets around about a clone Luke that gets around. I'm not sure if it's canon or not, but
I think it's
there was always a theory that the Luke that showed up to collect Grogu might have been the clone Luke.
Yeah, it might have been the clone loop. Yep, I've heard some people talk about that, and to be honest with you, like I think, see, because like in the Mandalorian, they were sort of hinting at we're trying to get Grogu to clone force sensitive people, like they needed his blood to clone force sensitive beings, right?
Yeah.
And I think that was a part of the storyline, but I'm not 100% sure because it never really had any kind of payoff, other than was it in movie 9 or whatever, like they had cloned Palpatine or wait, did they clone Palpatine or Snoke? Wait,
Snoke.
Snoke, yeah.
I still think it was one of the early versions of Snoke that was in the cloning chambers from a couple of episodes ago of Bad Batch.
Right.
With it,
oh no, that was actually a Kaminoan.
Yeah, but apparently Snoke has Kaminoan genes in him.
Oh no, I went back and looked it up. I rewatched it and then I looked up like what that is in the script, and it says it's a Kaminoan. So
yeah, right. Well, there was also that speculation that Kaminoans don't necessarily breed; they just clone themselves to perpetuate their race.
Well, they do actually. That's true.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? If they're a cloning people,
yeah, that's how they perfected cloning and stuff. Yeah.
Why bother with Rumpty anymore? Let's just do it all in a test tube. Well,
I bet you if they had to like write that into the script, there would probably be some kind of like emotional mechanism that they use. Like honestly, like if somebody was going to write that into a script, they'd be like, "Oh, we don't do it mechanically anymore. We do it psychically now." You know what I mean? There would be something like that put in. Like, you know what I mean? It's like the VR helmet in damn it, what's that Stallone movie?
Which one?
The one where he comes back, he time travels as a cop into the future. They freeze him, and then he gets unfrozen.
Not Judge Dredd.
Not Judge Dredd.
He wasn't frozen in that one.
It's the one with Wesley Snipes in it.
Is it
Wesley Snipes is frozen because he's a criminal. Oh my god!
Is it the RoboCop?
No.
I don't know. I don't know movies and shows. I know my ones that I watch, but they're not the ones that most
Demolition
watch.
Man.
Demolition Man. There you go.
Thank you, Stephen. Well done. I'll send you a courtesy bucket of kudos for that answer.
Hey, where did Fish Tropic get? Fish Tropic has been it's been timed out. What are what's going on in the chat?
I don't have the YouTube chat open, so I'm not seeing any of that. But yeah, I think Fish Tropic is mentioning drugs too often, and Jess Shrimp Granny is playing moderator and doing well. Thank you, Jess. We don't, even though I'm not a monetized channel, we don't necessarily need drugs referenced in the chat.
I was just wondering why Fish Tropic was going off the rails. not an expected YouTube viewer that I would normally see kind of going a little tipsy on a Tuesday
I was going to say, would you expect anything less from him?
Well, some gentle ribbing. But yeah, I mean, I guess drug references are bad for YouTube, I guess, or something. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll just keep the drug references to spoken, I think, because we reference enough drugs verbally, let alone in text.
I mean, I think we're allowed to are we allowed to talk about stuff? I don't know. We're going to get banned or whatever. I don't know. Who knows?
Well, let's experiment.
We'll have
Crack,
to
LSD,
start a new channel. We'll have to start a new channel and name it
Snuff.
The Doctor and the Shit Gibbon. I shall be the Shit Gibbon. Thank you.
Dr. Biscuits and the Shit Given. I don't know where biscuits came from. For some reason, it was the first word that came to my mind.
Good, I like it. Dr. Biscuits. Be
So,
our alter egos. Yeah.
Dr.
What's up?
Biscuits. I kind of like it now. It's got a ring to it.
It's got a ring. It's got a vibe.
And it's not as fashionable as black.
That's right.
We like not so fashionable. Out of my face, bug. So, Bad Batch.
Yes,
One
yes,
of
yes.
the first episodes of the season where we barely saw any Bad Batch at all, apart from Crosshair.
You know, my first critique, and I'm upset by this, that it's even a critique that I have, but it is an honest from my inside parts critique of, I mean, it's a cliffhanger, and I understand cliffhangers, okay, but it really felt like a cliffhanger of like, oh, we just ended it right now because it's 28 minutes. You know, like it didn't feel like, oh wow, here's like a good spot to stop, and then we'll be back next week. You know, kind of vibe. It was just sort of like, yeah, you only get 28 minutes, you guys. So that's
only
that now.
only 28 minutes. It was one of the longest episodes so far, besides the first one.
I mean, I looked at the total time on it. So the total time of the whole run was 28 minutes. So that's like with the credits and everything. So maybe it was only 24 minutes or something. But yeah, the thing that gets me about it is that like you have no constraints. Like this can, you know what I mean? Like the episodes can be whatever length. It doesn't, you know what I mean? You don't have to do that stupid format thing. And it just bugs me. Where I'm like, just make an episode that's an hour long. It's fine. Like people, everybody will watch it.
People will still sit and view it.
Yeah. I don't know. It really kind of bugged me, but
the Crimson Dawn. What do you know about the Crimson Dawn?
The Twi'leks, the Twi'leks. How do you say it? Aren't they Twi'leks?
Twi'leks. Right? No, they're not the Crimson Dawn. They're just the locals on Ryloth. I was potentially going to one of my other subjects a little bit too early before we've even talked about the Bad Batch. So let me put that back on the back burner.
Right, because I was thinking that the Twi'leks had some kind of group that they.
But they're the ones in the what's it called? Rogue One, who are the bad guys, aren't they? The Crimson Dawn.
They are. Well, they're in Solo, is where we first meet Crimson Dawn. If you're not a comic book reader, they are the nasty people that Woody Harrelson and Han Solo worked for.
Right. Okay.
And Kira, played by bloody what's her name?
Daenerys.
Yeah, Daenerys. That'll do. Emily or something. God, now I'm gonna fixate on that until I remember her real name.
Her name's Amelia.
Amelia Clark. She plays Kira. Now, without going, I mean, yeah, fair enough. I've skipped over our Bad Batch chat already, talking about the Twi'leks and the planet Ryloth and our first experience of Hera. Those who haven't watched Rebels, Hera becomes a very, very important figure in the rebellion. Watch Rebels if you haven't. We should probably do when Bad Batch series finishes, maybe we should do a watch through of Rebels and a talk about Rebels as well, because it's such a good show. Yeah, even though the main character can be a little bit annoying, the storylines that come out in Rebels and the history that comes out in Rebels is phenomenal.
Right.
But I've been posited with a theory from a friend of mine people may remember Brett from previous live streams talking about Star Wars and stuff. Brett's theory is that Omega becomes Kira. And
What?
the more I think about it, the more likely I think it is. Because
What?
Kira,
Isn't the
Kira-
bad? But when Kira was an adult,
What?
like, it doesn't that not fit with the timeline?
Yeah,
it fits
like,
perfectly with the timeline age-wise. Kira is a master strategist. Seems to tie in quite nicely with Omega as well. Granted, Kira has an English accent, not a New Zealand accent, but you know, accents can be skipped over and glossed about in the Star Wars universe. That's exactly
But
that
wasn't the whole
side
thing
of-
that she grew up on
wait,
Corellia
so she's
with?
just gonna end up like. Wait a minute. So she's just gonna end up. Well, because Kira wasn't Kira Solo's girlfriend or whatever?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Ugh.
but we don't actually get any.
No. If
we
that
don't-
happens, no, just fucking
we
no.
don't. We
Fucking
don't
no.
get any.
I will freak the fuck out and start swearing a whole bunch in this fucking goddamn planet if that happens to be the case.
That's
Swearing
exactly.
about it now. I'm pissed off about it now. If that happens, I will pitch a hissy fit until the end of days. That's Han Solo's girlfriend, guys. That's how stupid we are as writers. We're just idiots now. Like, no,
See
sorry,
drama
I
D.
can't.
Thanks for hanging
I
around.
can't abide. The dude does not abide
That was
that
exactly
storyline.
my first response when I was first witness to this theory, and it is slowly growing on me.
No,
I've not taken the bait entirely yet, but I'm still a little bit convinced that this may be a thing. Because in Solo we don't hear any of her backstory. We don't know for a fact that she's grown up on Corellia with Han.
yes,
Who,
yes.
I thought that was the whole
they
thing,
grew up
because
as
they're
kids
in that-
together.
And they're in that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought so.
Yeah,
but
they're like kids together, and they grew up together, and they
That's
lived under
right.
the whatever the warlords gang, street gang, or whatever.
everything you've said so far supports the theory.
What? Why?
Because they grew up together doesn't mean that they met at age 3. They could have met at age 11 and spent their teenage years coexisting together, growing
Wait,
up.
so this Kira character is supposed to be Omega, and Omega has flown around. So Omega has flown around the galaxy, gone to a bunch of different planets with the Bad Batch, and then ends up hanging out with Han Solo. Sorry, Han. He hasn't been gifted his name yet from the Imperial.
Yeah, that's
fucking
why I just went
enrollment
with Han
officer.
before.
What's that?
That's why I just went with Han before, because
Yeah,
at
yeah,
that
because he's not
timeline in
he's
the
not Han
discussion-
Solo yet, because he hasn't met his fucking Marine recruiter yet. You know,
his clipboard holder.
he hasn't met that guy yet. This random dude who works at the airport. Yeah, no, that doesn't make any sense, because she would be old enough that she would have memories of all that stuff, right? It's not like she's an infant and then just got dropped off on a planet. So she would have just been content. So this whole time she would have just been content, like hanging around with Han. Like,
Well, to be realistic, we haven't seen the end of Bad Batch yet, so we don't know. She could be running away from her previous existence and not wanting to share her previous existence because the Empire might still be looking for her. So she probably keeps all that stuff close to the chest. She's not going to be running around saying, "Oh, well, I used to do this work with these clone guys." She's not telling anyone that because she doesn't want the Empire to come down on
okay,
her.
so we're gonna spend all this time developing this character, right? With the Bad Batch, and then she's just going to regress for what, 10 years?
No,
And
she's just
then-
hiding.
And
She's
then,
not regressing. She's hiding.
and then she has to go through like that 3-year gap where like Han Solo's like in the military, and then she goes and hangs out with Crimson Dawn, and then comes back, but not talented really. Like when she here is just some dumb shit from that. That's it. It's just that if they try to take that character further, it doesn't make any sense. But what do I know? I'm just some idiot. So
Well,
maybe-
my
maybe
theory is
ruin
that
the whole thing.
we'll get a second season of Bad Batch, and towards the end of the second season of Bad Batch, all of the Bad Batch get killed by the Empire, and Omega has to flee, and she has to go and find a new identity, and her new identity leads her into becoming the leader of the Crimson Dawn. Now I've got it on tape. If it happens, people can come back and say, "You were right, mate. You were right. If I was wrong, I'll eat my humble pie then." But yeah, like I said,
do you want to know what my take is?
well, I can clearly see that you hate the idea, but that's exactly how I felt when I first pondered the idea.
I hate that idea, and it's stupid. I don't like it. I don't like your idea. I'm gonna tell you it's dumb, and I don't like it because.
It's not my idea. I'm just rolling with it.
Okay, well,
But I didn't at first. At first, I was
I'm saying
exactly like you. I was like,
I'm saying
no,
I have all the kind words in the world for you, my friend. I don't have any kind words for this idea. I don't like it at all. And if I was in the writers' room, I'd flip the table over right now and throw all over the place and tell everyone to. I would Dustin Poirier everyone. I would tell him to kiss my whole asshole.
The whole one.
Whole asshole.
That was the best post-fight interview, wasn't it? It was great.
It's the greatest post-fight interview I've ever seen. Oh my god!
Not to
So funny.
derail the Bad Batch conversation, but it was very unfortunate that fight ended that way. But if that fight did not end that way, we wouldn't have got.
If it did not end that way, Conor McGregor would be way worse off than he is right now.
And the world would be worse off because we wouldn't have got that saying, "Kiss my entire asshole" or whatever it was.
My whole asshole.
My whole asshole. Not just a bit of it. Kiss the
None of
whole
it.
one.
The whole thing.
You have to make lips with my asshole's lips.
So funny. So funny. And I know that there's a lot of people out there that are Conor McGregor fans, and I'm not particularly a fan of him or his style. But I mean, Dustin Poirier had some really good points that this dude is just off his rocker, saying all sorts of crazy stuff, and you know, it's just really not. There's really not a lot of class to it, and you know, Dustin Poirier was controlling that fight, and I do not think it was going to go well for Conor.
No, but it would have been.
Honest with you, like, it's probably best that he broke his leg because he probably would have broken a whole lot more if they'd gone more rounds.
Yeah, it's still would have been a lot nicer to see it go that long, longer, I should say, longer than it did go.
True.
Just for that fact, just to see, you know, what might have happened. And now, I guess we'll get a number 4, and that'll be Conor McGregor's last fight ever. Crikey!
I think that realistically,
coming up the driveway.
If they have number 4, it's probably going to be his last fight. I mean,
Conor's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, and he doesn't need the money, but he'll do it just for the sake of the fact that this one was a write-off because he messed up his ankle.
Right.
Let's do it again and do all the dirty shit all over again. Right. And make it count another time. And he'll get beaten and he'll still make his monumentally massive paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he can put another $100 million into his bank account.
It's true.
But yeah,
I know
those
I
after.
remember somebody was being really grouchy with me that they're like, well, I bet you wish you had that kind of money. You're just jealous. It's like, I don't know that I'm jealous, but would I like to have a payday like? Yeah, of course I would. What are you stupid? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
of course I would love to
Am,
have a payday
am
like
I
that.
not human?
Yeah, like what? Um, just yeah, like what? Okay, well, I don't understand how that's a point, but yeah, okay. When
Yeah.
somebody acts all crazy and whatnot, and if I call them out on it, then it's like you're just jealous. It's like, huh? Okay, no, but whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
you're just a sad fan if you're calling someone jealous.
yeah, it's just like, okay, well, cool. Still don't have $20 million, but okay. And then
Um,
again, I've never had $20 million, so I don't know what it's like. Maybe I would go crazy too. Who knows? I don't know. Might be the case. Maybe I'd go completely bonkers. I don't know.
well, you might not go bonkers with $20 million, but once you've got $120 million in your bank account, you might go a little bit nuts.
It's time. It's time to go crazy. But yeah, I mean that fight was bonkers. But as far as like the Omega storyline, like what I think, and you guys can mark my words on this. This is what I think. Because we got your take. I'll give you my take.
Righto.
So what I think is going to happen is that we'll probably see an evolution throughout this season that will essentially put Omega into contact with young Boba, right?
Yes, agreed.
The Bad Batch situation will be pretty solidified. And then we'll probably have another season, even though that they said that this was a one-off for the Bad Batch. I think we'll probably see another season.
Disney got to milk that sacred cow.
Well, I don't know if that's the way I see it, but I think what they're going to do is they might do it this season, but it doesn't make a whole lot of sense with the time progression that they've gone with this season, right? Like it really hasn't been like that long. But my guess would be that they do another season that fills out the time progression where she gets a little bit older and they get a lot older because of their aging thing, right?
Accelerated aging, yes. Right.
And what my guess is that the Bad Batch will have to make some kind of sacrifice that they die from to save Omega, and then Omega is able to essentially be a free character to some degree, right?
Yes, I certainly don't see an end to the Bad Batch where the members of Clone Force 99 survive. I think they all must die.
Right, and then what I think will happen is that Omega will end up at the end of whenever the Bad Batch does their thing, right? Whatever their sacrifice is, that they end up dying because they know they're going to die, right? Like they'll have to face their mortality from the aging, right? And then they know they're going to die. They'll end up sacrificing themselves for the better of Omega because she's the only one from their family that will make it and continue on. And then essentially Omega will have some kind of connection with Boba, right? But she'll have to go essentially far away, right? To maintain her safety, and the Bad Batch will like sacrifice in order to allow that to happen. It's like she'll survive, she'll get away, and she'll end up being far off in the distant whatever, like the unknown zones or whatever. And then we won't see Omega until the later Mandalorian episodes.
When she becomes Kira.
No, I think that she's essentially going to somehow get exposed to the fact that she is a Mandalorian, right? And we'll have to
learn the way.
She'll have to like go away and like kind of learn the way or whatever. Like, I think she's gonna get Mandalorian armor at some point. Like I think the precursor to the stuff that's in Sid, like there's armor in Sid's place, right? Like on the wall.
Yep, and
It's
some
like,
weapons and stuff.
Yeah, and I think there's like white Mandalorian armor out over there or something like that. I can't remember 100%. But
Yeah,
I think she'll find.
I think that was a nice little teaser they put into one of the early episodes there
Right.
with the Mandalorian stuff. I think definitely they've got to tie that back into Omega somehow.
Yeah, so I think something like that will happen, and then she'll end up going away. And then on her return will be when in the Mandalorian, and then be an actual actress, right? Be a real person, because you can age her from what she is now, and then have an actress play her. You know what I mean? Without really screwing up.
Fucking put it on camera, mate.
Alright, where's the cat there?
I got Louis here showing us his Mandalorian tattoo.
Where's the cat?
Fucking work it out, son. Jesus. Hang
There
on.
we go.
No, I'm trying to work out what it is. Why has the Mandalorian got a sword of some sort?
Samurai Mandalorian.
Look at your fucking biceps, lad. What have you been doing?
No, training a little bit here and there.
Training a little bit. Nice, very nice.
So I heard you saying the Mandalorian before. I was like, oh, I better show him.
That was good timing, wasn't it?
Huh.
Anyway, keep going. Sorry for the interruption.
So that's what I think is likely going to happen. Is that we won't see Omega until she's much older, and will probably show up in the Book of Boba, and then have some kind of tie-in to the Mandalorian.
Yeah, well, I guess we have
in
to
some way, because there's really like no explanation of like who Din Djarin's parents are.
Yeah.
Is Din Djarin's parent Omega? I don't know. Are they related somehow? We don't know.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting one as well. Hadn't considered that.
I think like the storylines could vibe out in some real like kind of wild ways. You know what I mean? Like kind of the sky's the limit if you're allowed to do it, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what they're doing is trying to tie things together that have like solid story. It's like there's no real so like Ahsoka, right? Like there's no real reason to have a live action version of her as far as like the passive fans go, right? Like just the passive fans are like, oh, I don't know, who's that?
Yeah, true.
Like, what's the deal with her?
There's lots
Right.
of Star Wars fans have only seen the movies and they don't know characters
Right.
from Rebels or Clone
Or
Wars
just the rest,
and stuff
or
like
just the rest of the universe, because everything has
Yeah.
always been the Luke Skywalker story,
that. The Skywalker saga.
And then even when they tried to fill in things like the Han Solo story, it's like, well, you find out he got his last name from the army recruiter.
From just some dude in a
Yeah.
suit.
And I think that's when Disney started to realize, like, you know, we could get people to come see the movies. Like it doesn't have to be set specific characters, but the writing has to be good. I think
Yeah.
that the people that work at Disney are not that stupid. Like I don't think that they are really, really, really of the opinion that was like a really successful film as far as the universe of the Star Wars universe goes. Like, yeah, sure, you made a movie and then you tried to explain it away as like, oh, it's just supposed to be a fun, campy thing, you know? And it's like, well, okay, fun and campy is just make a fun and campy movie that doesn't have anything to do with this, like, $2 billion, $10 billion thing, right? Like, And I think that's why they brought in everybody that is worked on the Bad Batch and stuff, because why would you bring in all these like super Star Wars nerds, you know, if you didn't realize like some of your mistakes and go like, all right, well, we should
try and lock down some of this history and stuff.
right, and start to fill out the actual universe, because you can't just continue more and more Luke Skywalker story. You know what I mean? Like it's just not. It's not a universe that's really that exciting, you know. And I think Marvel did such a good job, like taking all the crazy comic book material and like kind of weaving it together into these epic movies that did a fairly good job. You know, at least pacifying the super fans, but they also like did well with the average non-viewers, you know, or non-readers or whatever, however you want to put it.
Natural Aquariums brings up an interesting point for this podcast / live stream, whatever you want to call it. It's a very divisive point in this stream, Natural, because Corvus hates the Solo movie and I quite enjoy it.
Yeah, I don't like it.
So I'm going to tell you to watch it because it's not trash. But Corvus will tell you
there's a million holes in that stupid movie. It's ridiculous.
Oh, I love it. We've got to have at least one bone of contention in our live stream, and that's at least our main one, isn't it?
There's so many parts in that movie that don't make any sense.
Oh, that's potentially...
Why does Lando suck so bad in that?
Because it's Donald Glover. They're cashing in on whoever was big at the time.
Yeah, but why does he suck so bad? I don't know.
And now Lando's going to get his own TV show apparently as well. Potentially just to prolong Donald Glover's TV career. Wow.
His music career is banging, so I don't know why. But.
Yeah. Got Magpies back. Haven't had Magpies here for ages, and now Magpies are flocking in.
I've been enjoying their songs for quite a while now through
what?
At your house. Again, I've been hearing them singing for ages. The Magpies.
Yeah, but they haven't been in the yard for yonks, and now I've got like potentially they've got babies already, being an early spring and whatnot with our shitty low winter. G'day, Danican.
Yeah, I was listening to a recap of the team that worked on the Bad Batch. So all the writers, the art directors, the CGI team, blah blah blah. Like everybody that was on there. Like one of the reasons that Disney hired them was because that was a large group of people that all worked really well together, and they knew and cared about how in-depth Star Wars is supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
And I think that it would be very weird for them to take that, oh yeah, this was Han Solo's girlfriend. Like that doesn't really, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right to me. But I mean, we'll see who's right and who's wrong. I got a vibe that I'm going to be right though, ish. I'll be right-ish. I'll be correct-ish.
I feel like I would be happier if you are correct. I like your story idea better. I also don't like Kira as Omega.
It doesn't make any sense to me. Like that just feels like such a weird. Like, well, I guess we're just right back to the Skywalker story, you know.
And because she just was like not very much of a character, like particularly all in the beginning. Like she didn't start, and then it's like, oh, she started to have it, whatever. Once she's gone with Crimson Dawn, but she just didn't seem like a very
rounded character.
Full character, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I get it. I guess you like. I mean, if you want to have the the Khaleesi around, I guess you need to have that character exist later on. But I feel like you just write her in as Kira later, right, and just have her do some other stuff.
And with the stuff that
she
she's
die?
doing,
She
I
die?
feel like she's got enough. No, because she went off to
Oh, that's right.
Who's His Face at the end of that movie.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Suddenly had a
And
thought
that's-
of like maybe she died.
There's still storyline to be filled with how her and Han parted ways. We need to know how nasty shit got between them, because it is
Well,
there's
that's
a,
the
there's
thing,
a
'cause the Han Solo movie, he just went off to the army.
yeah, she bailed on
and
him.
She just bailed on him. Like, okay. And the whole
But
time,
I feel like we
the whole
didn't have a
time-
good idea. She was like kind of obligated into it, wasn't she? We don't really know if she was bad or good when she went off, because she was in a position where the powers that be were like onto her.
Yeah, well, that was
Is
her
that not the
moment, I
case?
guess.
I mean, I'm not like the full fangirl over here.
I think
I've
the
just watched the things, and I'm not good at remembering show stuff either.
I think the end of Solo was where we were exposed to her potential deciding that she realized that she could be the head of this awesome organized crime.
But wasn't it still was only hinted at? We're just assuming that was her motivation.
Well, she'd killed the former leader of the what became the Crimson Dawn,
right?
Yeah.
and it was like she had this epiphany that she's going to take this shit over and rule the galaxy on her own.
Yeah, but
Without-
that's our
without
assumption, isn't it?
Yeah,
Still.
yeah.
Right.
A Christmas sweater. Lol, yeah, it's the only green shirt I've got, Jess.
That's a Christmas sweater.
I'm
This guy-
I was actually surprised that it worked after the Woolies shopping bags that show up against the green screen.
No, they don't.
Well, that one's not, but it was, remember? Last time when I was there.
Yeah, it may be something to do with how much, because you have a fading slider to determine how much of the green it allows and processes,
Right.
etc. I've really got to take it off again, though. It's such an uncomfortable shirt to have on. Whoops.
Hot out here
Remind-
for sweaters.
No, it's just a t-shirt. It was from my previous job. They have, they give out themed shirts for periods of time, like Christmas or Easter and stuff. This
So
one.
they gave you those ones. They didn't make you pay for them like you had to pay for your work shirts.
Yeah, no. When the seasonal stuff comes around, they pop a large box in the lunchroom, and you take what you want. Yes, it's quite opposed to how they would normally behave.
Uh-huh.
It's because they know like no one would buy the seasonal shirt.
Yeah, no one would. I mean, it's made out of nice material, but it's got all this shit over the front that's like a snowman and stuff. What are you doing?
Why do we have snowmen for Christmas things
Yeah,
over
it's
here?
ridiculous, isn't it? We need drunk kangaroos instead.
Or just like people generally dying from dehydration in the sun.
With a beer in their hand. Right, so apparently spring has come early to the magpies, because there's 2 seemingly juvenile magpies wandering around my yard investigating things.
Oh.
Quite odd. Global warming, people. It's real.
Yeah. That's the unfortunate part.
Okay. No, you've started another one.
That's my third one, but so what I've got is 3 starts and no finishes.
It's 3 starts and no finishes. That sounds like my relay race career when I was athletic.
I like this guy first when you were athletic. And then this guy.
All right.
So true, zip gun. So true. Well, that's almost Vader-esque. I did see when you popped the head up of that before.
I actually think it's because you guys were talking about Star Wars while I was drawing it. So it had a few like Star Wars-y vibes going on. And then I started into it.
Well, hang on, I'm going to mute myself for a second.
Yeah, do that, Michael.
Uh-oh. He's going full mute, everybody.
Good.
Yeah, and in the States here, we've had record heat waves. We've had record drought. We've had record all sorts of crazy weather. And now we're having our wildfires. Yay.
Best.
The best. Yes, it is chaos.
Who doesn't love fires?
Oh, it's just grand.
Yeah. It's like, because we go, you've got like your fire season and then you've got flood season and, everyone complaining in the floods, but I always think it's so much better than the fire season. Because.
Oh, you like the floods better?
Yeah, way better. I do.
Well, I think they're both bad,
I mean, sure.
personally.
Compared to all the other things that there could be, they're both bad. But compared to each other, I just feel like floods are like. I don't
You feel
know.
like the floods can put out the fire, right?
Sure, we could have them all at once. And then we could just have a time of the year where it's just safe. That would be cool.
That'd be cool. We don't seem to have that anymore. Doesn't seem to exist. Oh, Blacky left. He's having a wild convo.
He looks like he's listening very intently.
Intently. Oh, he's listening to us. Oh, listen to us.
He muted himself, but he didn't mute us, so
I know.
we're just nattering in the background of his other conversation.
Nattering. That's a great one. I like that. What's going on in the art world? You have you have like an opening coming up, right?
Yeah, so there was meant to be an opening tonight, but they had to put it off because of COVID restrictions. I think because they're still restricted. You're only allowed a certain amount of people indoors at any one time.
Uh-huh.
So I got an email that they were postponing the opening.
The Rona strikes again.
But yeah, that's all right, because otherwise I would have been probably driving to Brisbane tonight, and I'm not too sad to not be driving up there.
How long is that drive?
It's about an hour and a half. It's not too bad.
That's not bad.
It used to be a lot longer. Like I remember when I was young and we used to go up, my aunt lived up there.
Uh-huh.
And it was like so far. It was really long, but they've done heaps of upgrades to the highway since then. So it's pretty quick.
Right. They straightened out the road.
Yeah, they sure did. And made it wide. Although it's like one of these sections of roads between here and Brisbane, say.
Mm-hmm.
It's just had roadworks on it for ever.
Ages. Yeah.
So long. It's just like they just do like a little bit on one section. I feel like maybe once they get to the end of one, they've got to sort of upgrade back the first one that they did.
Go back. Yeah, it's like the San Francisco Bridge. You familiar with that?
No, I'm not. Oh, Is that the one with all the
The
stringy
arches.
things? Is that
Yeah.
the one? Yeah, that's
It's a
the
really
one.
big- it's a really big bridge in San Francisco.
But it has all those little like stringies. Is it like a suspension bridge or something? It's got.
Oh, sure. I'm no bridge engineer, so yeah, it's got the stringy things.
Yay.
But that bridge is so big that like they're constantly painting it because it's red. So like
Sure.
once they're done painting it, because they start at one side and they start painting it, and then by the time they get to the other end, it's time to go back to the end and start again.
That's what they say about the Sydney Harbour Bridge too.
Uh,
Same thing. Painting it year round.
mm-hmm. Constant state of painting.
Yeah. It feels like it would be a really unsatisfying job though, wouldn't it? To never be able to get to the point where you're like, yes. It's
Well,
all
it's
done.
job security though.
That's true.
And like this is a thing I do always because it needs to be painted, and it's pretty iconic too. So I feel like if you worked on that, you'd probably like have some sort of built-in like pride for like working on something iconic like that.
Sure.
World famous.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, it must be if I can recognize it, because I actually don't know anything about like where things are in America, or
Mhm.
I don't know anything.
Right.
I know that it has got like, what is it? New York and Los Angeles and Seattle. Is that right? Like that? I
Like
think
what?
that's what I know. Like one on one side, one on the other side, and one a little bit up from that.
Sure.
Is that right?
Sure.
And that's about
why-
it. That's
yeah.
the extent of my
Right.
American geography. It's got Canada at the top.
Yeah, Canada's at the top. Yeah, it's like 3,500 miles to go to New York.
What's that in
From-
kilometers?
What is it? 2 kilometers per mile.
If you say so.
2.2 kilometers to a mile. So like 8,000 kilometers.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
That's-
Like,
That's why.
definitely noticed it with like a lot of European people that I know that have come to the States from Europe, is that they'll always be like, oh yeah, like we could go to Miami and then we could go to LA. Oh man, and we could check out Chicago, and it's like, those are all like really far away. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
we could go to, I guess, one of them maybe, like they just, because it's kind of weird, like when you're in Europe, it's like, oh hey, let's drive to Germany, and it's like, well, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like that's like a country that's like it's like, oh, it's like 3 hours away. Like, what? Okay, I guess let's go there.
Would be pretty interesting because like here we're also like pretty spread out, compared to those kinds of countries. It would be really interesting to be able to go and within a day you're in a whole different kind of country.
Yeah.
With all their different culture and things. Although, I mean, I suppose there's still a lot of similarities in Europe between, not all of them, but some of the different countries.
Well, they have people
I
in
guess.
them, so they're pretty similar to that. But it's like I personally figured it out when it was like, oh, let's go to Hungary. It's like, oh, okay, cool, and like we go to Hungary, and it's like it's totally different because you are in fact in a different country. but he just drove there, which is weird as an American, you know, which I bet is probably pretty similar for like Australians that go to Europe. It's like, wait, we could just drive over to Italy? Like, what? What do you mean? Yeah, it's just over there. We just go that way for a while in the car, and it's like, oh, we're in freaking Italy. Okay. Totally different. It's all totally different people. Okay. Yeah.
It would be interesting. I haven't ever been anywhere. I've like not even been around this country.
Oh, really?
Because like I had a baby quite young, and
Oh, okay.
I just didn't have like. Then I had 2 more of them.
Yeah.
So that sort of limited my my traveling opportunities, I suppose.
Yeah.
And when I was young, I just wanted like a piece of land that was my own. I wanted to be able to plant like fruit trees and then watch them grow and then eventually pick the fruit off them, and you know, things like that. I remember having like kind of an argument with my mum about it, because she was like, I was still a teenager, and she was like, you know, don't you want to travel? If you just had this money now, where would you go? Where would you, you know, want to travel to? And I was like, no, I'll put that on deposit on a block of land. And she was like, no, there's all these things in the world. Don't you want to see them? I was like, first, I want a home base to come back to.
Oh.
But yeah, but now I would probably have liked to have traveled when I was younger. Because I don't think it's the same. Well, I couldn't, because there's the state of the world and the state of my wallet and the fact I still have kids. So if I want to travel anywhere, I've got to pay for like multiple tickets. You know, for all the humans to go. But we'll see.
They don't have to go. They can stay.
I just leave them behind.
Yep. Oh, it's going to Europe.
That's right. See you later.
I'll be back. See you when I get back.
Like maybe.
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 Maybe. I might be busy.
Once I've had that taste of freedom, you never know.
Oh. Might just stay free.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm only a couple years into being a dad, and I don't know. Pretty wild.
Yeah. It changes you, but I think it's different, at least from people I've talked to who are older. So when they have kids versus younger, but
Right.
I'm happy. I don't have regrets. I'm
back.
Yeah, thank goodness.
No
We
regret.
slowly devolved back to talking about kids, I just realized.
That's a handy backup subject to have.
It's not really.
It is
It's not-
reality. You know?
It's not, but it's not interesting, is it?
But how ironical that it was due to me talking to two of my kids.
That's right. There you go.
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be.
Wait,
Sometimes you
someone's
gotta
put a
talk-
link up. Corvus Oskin does Instagram. What? How do I not know this?
Yeah, I do that.
How is
Instagram.
Corvus Oskin not on my Instagram feed?
I don't know.
I have to like.
Can you hear that?
No.
Can you hear that?
If only facial expressions were audible.
Ah, you can't hear it?
I heard that.
I'm listening to Bo Burnham. Have you seen his new comedy special?
The lockdown one, the isolation one.
Yeah,
Yeah, man, that was brilliant.
it's it's on so many levels brilliant. It's just
Oh,
like,
it was uneasy. It was unsettling. It was discordant, and I loved it.
yeah, I mean, it was just
I was highly impressed by him.
it's really genius. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, yeah. So dark yet so light at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, it really runs the gambit.
The gambit.
And
Yeah, I
I
think. Wasn't I saying to you at the time, Scungy, that I didn't. I couldn't work out which parts he was fair dinkum in and which parts he was playing a character in, and it really sent me asunder that I didn't know whether this was legit feelings or written feelings and stuff. And I think that was part of the brilliance of it, is that's exactly where you were supposed to be left.
I think he pulled it all together really beautiful, and he made like some of the stuff like it's quite freaking damning and frightening at the same time as, you know,
As in, do you mean, like confronting to the humans?
about like the
that might
state
be
of the
experiencing?
world. Yeah, that's it. But I loved like part of what gave me so much joy. Like, I mean, I think he was very articulate about, you know, conveying his message, and he did it in a really clever way where it kind of like lures you into it, and then you know it's full of all these really poignant things. But I just loved watching and imagining him setting up all of his things, like all his use of lighting and photography stuff was constantly entertaining me. Not just the result of it, but the sort of real the knowledge, like seeing how simple the ingredients were,
Yeah.
and how vast sort of results he was getting from it. I really
just
enjoyed.
in using that
Well,
small space.
It's a weird thing. Like there's a part in the special where he's like, yeah, I've just spent like the last couple months just here kind of playing around with this stuff, you know. And I think that's the reality, is that like I think that he really put a lot of time into it, like
prior
Yeah.
to actually filming.
an obsessive amount of time. I think really went into
I can
like there's nothing else I can do. Like I have no need for anything else. I'm just gonna work on this thing. And there's that part in there where he's like, I was planning on having this be done by the time I'm 30, you know, and he's like, I've got 1 minute left, you know, and then it turns to midnight and he's like, I don't know. I didn't know if I could like live with myself if this wasn't going to be done by the time I was 30. And then it's pretty clear that like 9 or 10 more months of working on it like came after that, you know.
Yeah.
You're kind of like, you know, just the level of work that went into it. And I just can't imagine like how much stuff hit the cutting room floor, you know what I mean? Where it's like,
absolutely. And how much of it, you know, came super close to destroying him as a person, just trying to produce this product.
right. And I think it's a testimonial. And I talked about this on my live stream a little while ago, that like you could see what someone could produce. And it like, not to say that like the stuff that he used or anything was incredibly expensive, because it's really not. Like most of everything that he used was accessible to a lot of people. You know, like the budget is not the crazy part. It's just the fact that like
He
He
worked
didn't
out
have-
how to use it.
well, it's just that like he didn't have the stress of anything else like encumbering the creativity, where it's just like you know, he's like, I can't go anywhere. Like there's nowhere to go. Like I'm gonna stay here and just keep working on this. And it's kind of wild to see like, you know, that unencumbered art where it's just like you don't have to worry about the other things because he has like tons of money, you know what I mean? So it's like, you know, he doesn't have to go to a job, he doesn't have to worry about anything, he doesn't have a kid. I mean, obviously I think he has a spouse that he has to deal with, but like that's basically it, you know. And the real world was shut down, so it's not like he was gonna to be traveling anywhere or doing anything like that. But I think it's just like the testimonial of seeing like what an artist can actually just work on, just working on a thing, you know, and just like how high quality it really is, you know.
Yeah, and that's you know, it's testament to the COVID situation that everyone experienced, is that professional artists, whether they be actors or comedians or painters or whatever, had to work out how they could best take advantage of the situation of isolation and stuff like that. And pretty much, I don't think I've seen anyone else take advantage of it as well as he did with that special. You know, you've got your Zoom live comedy shows and stuff like that, which were toileted massively. You know, fair enough, comedians had to have a go at doing something, but he really went that extra level and made a whole, you know, that 1 hour special is gonna it'll hold true for so long for so many people, because so many people experience the same thing.
Right.
But he,
Well,
you know, he milked it and he used it well.
Well, it's not even that. It's just that I think he mentioned it in the show that, or in that special, that he's like, I stopped doing live shows because I was having panic attacks, and I spent the last like however many years like working on my mental health and stuff, and then this pandemic happened.
Yeah, because he'd stopped doing live comedy well before the pandemic struck, wasn't it?
Long years before that.
Yeah, multiple years.
I think it's like, so I think it was exceptional in the fact that like he was already like really isolated, and then the pandemic happened and it would amplified it even further.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, true.
That I think there was a reality that he was probably working on an idea to do a special anyhow, and then got sort of tossed into this situation of like, well, you can't go anywhere. Okay, how do I work with this you don't go anywhere space and kind of exist in it and really like sit in that, you know what I mean? Like really just sit in the reality of like what is going on, and it also pertained to like his previous years of trying to sort out his own
himself again. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it's just real. To me, it's just genius. But
genius, exactly the word that was floating around my mind.
It's right in there, and then it's just like, yeah. I mean, out of the blue too. You know, it's like I heard about it. Like, oh hey, there's a new special. You should check it out. Like, oh okay, cool. I guess I'll check that out. I don't know. You know, and then it's like, oh. Like nobody mentioned it was like just pure unadulterated genius down a crazy rabbit hole, you know.
Yes, so many super light and super heavy moments all at the same time. It was brilliant.
Right.
And if you haven't seen it, people, bloody get it into you. One of the mods, find a link to that Bo Burnham. What was it called?
It's on Netflix. If you go
Inside.
on Netflix, it's called Inside. Yeah,
Inside. Yeah,
it's on Netflix. If you just look in the comedy specials, it's going to be in the top 10. It'll be pretty easy to find it.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, do yourself a favor and check it out, because it's super quality work. Whether you're into comedy or whether you're into the darkness or anything, it'll satisfy your needs from both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah. All right, guys. I'm going to turn into a pumpkin.
It's about that time.
It is indeed. We've been here for quite a while. And we were all here from start to finish.
Start to finish, going crazy.
Potentially, this feat may never be repeated again. Time will only tell. We didn't get a chance to talk about Loki, but that's okay because we're potentially seeing the last episode next week, and we can do a massive recap. Oh no, hang on. Last episode's tonight in a few hours.
New episodes tonight. Is it the final?
Well, it's only a 6-episode series, and I believe we're up to episode 6. So we're going to get some massive amounts of closure and finality. Either one. Pick your words. Oh, g'day, Jesse. I forgot to say hi to you, I think, before. I had too many humans roaming about. But yeah, so everyone, make sure you watch Loki before next week. We'll give a big rundown next week. Bad Batch will drag us to further corridors as well.
Hold on a second. Loki may already have a season 2 on Disney Plus.
Well,
on November 5th, Production Weekly published an issue that listed all the new productions taking place and actively hiring. Among the hundreds of productions listed, including new seasons of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Flash, Raimi, Power Rangers, and The Mandalorian, there's a new season of Loki. And you read that right. You read that right. Loki Season 2, which will star Tom Hiddleston reprising his role, is currently in some stage of pre-production with target shooting date of January 2022.
Well, that's good to know.
Oh, so there actually should likely be a season 2, and I have to tell you, it is a brilliant show. That
it is very good. I have a feeling that though they will, like the storyline that we're currently witnessing, will be all sewn up in this season with potentially a lead in to the next one then now knowing that, but I don't think a second season will delve too deeply into the same stuff that they've been dealing with this season.
I mean, yeah, who knows? I don't know. It's hard to say.
It's going to be exciting nonetheless.
This show takes so many like wild twists and turns. It'd be obtuse of me to have a prediction of where the show goes, because one week everybody's dead and the next week everybody's back. I don't know what the hell's going on. But,
yes, Jeff, you should watch it. It's one of the best television shows that's entered our television screens for a long time. And I didn't not even think it was a show that was going to be watchable. Yeah, well, I think that was what united us on this TV show, is that we both had such limited expectations, and we were both super blown away by it.
By how awesome it was. Hey, did everybody hit the like button? We're supposed to tell everybody to do that.
Yeah, bastards, smash that like.
Yeah,
I mean, we keep touting it week to week how awesome it is, but Scungy still hasn't even watched it yet, so it's probably a good thing that we didn't do too much Loki review.
I'll tell you, even if we gave you spoilers, you probably wouldn't even know what the hell was going on anyhow.
Yeah.
No, and I'm super good at like tuning out when I need to.
I'm just saying. The show's so good, even if you heard spoilers, it's like you probably would have no clue what the hell was going on. I mean, it's pretty good. So, all right, I really actually have to go to bed. So I will talk to you guys next week. I love you. Have a fantastic week. I guess I was going to say weekend, but it's Tuesday. I don't know.
We can start the weekend now. Let's go. Thanks, heaps, dude. No, too late. Too slow. 808 tank just arrived. Crikey. Long time no see. 808. 08, 08, 08, 08. Language. I've got a few. Yes, everyone who hasn't watched Loki, watch Loki. It's not typical Marvel nonsense. Ooh, crikey, that was some serious burp action.
I don't
Burp
think I've
and
watched
hiccups.
any Marvel except yes, I have because we watched that one.
Which one? Wanda?
The Black
No,
Panther.
you didn't watch WandaVision either, did you?
No, well, my TV broke, so I stopped watching shows and I was just reading instead. But you know, I can watch.
What Marvel did you
Especially,
watch?
actually, I just had the best idea. Oh, like the only Marvel movie I think I've ever watched, and it's one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Is
Oh,
Black Panther.
Yeah, that was shit. Full tilt shit.
But I just realized I could put shows on this screen that is in front of me right now and sit and draw in the night and watch TV and draw at the same time.
Epiphany moment, people. You were here first. You saw it right here live on camera. Scungy had an epiphany.
I like it. I'm going to probably do that.
You probably should, especially Loki, you know. Catch up now before the last episode happens.
No. Once the last episode is out, then I can watch it.
The last episode's out in about 2.5 hours. You might as well get started now. G'day,
Yeah.
Scott's Aquatics.
Plus-
How are you, Scotty?
I found out that one of my very favorite movies is on the streaming services. It might be Netflix, but I can't really remember which one it is. But it's definitely on there, and I'm really stoked because it was only ever released on like DVD. There was no one for our region. Yeah, it was only like you get American regional ones, but not for us. It never got released and made, and so I'm pretty excited that it's on streaming.
Do I have to ask for the title, or were you going to provide the title?
Oh, it's called Waking Life.
Oh, that one we tried to watch, but your DVD was the wrong region and our DVD player wouldn't play it. That one.
Well, yeah, but I think actually we did something with the PlayStation because it didn't need a region. Like it was not coded for regions or something. And we watched some of it and you weren't really interested in it, but I love it.
Nice one, GRB. There's that link to the Bo Burnham Inside special. Nice work, GRB. Appreciate that. I'll send you a complimentary bucket of kudos for that. Appreciate it. I believe most people who have been subjected to COVID rules and stuff will super appreciate the Bo Burnham special. Yeah, Waking Light, it was called, Jess, I believe.
No, it's called Waking Life. Life, L-I-F-E.
That's what I said, wasn't it?
But it's not like a regular movie. It's kind of a series of monologues and dialogues about like existence and reality and stuff. And it's all from it's filmed with real actors, but then animated over. So it's kind of a bit trippy, but it doesn't follow like any of your traditional story arcs and stuff like that. So it's only if you're interested in that sort of thing that it's going to be interesting. But I loved it for that because I get deterred by things that just follow the same things. I like things that are a bit kind of weird.
What was the
I like them weird.
What was that Keanu movie? It's similar styling to that, isn't it? The painted over stuff.
I don't know what Keanu movie. He was like in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah,
and
but
in that one, and in the one with the bus, and he was in The Matrix.
No, he did that one where it was all filmed, but it was painted over in comic book stylings. Oh, crikey. Please, someone in the chat, give me closure. I can't remember what it was called. It's going to do my head in until I remember it. No, stop trying to think of it and then it'll come to me. Anyway, we've done another bloody almost 3 hours. Yeah, that's right, Jess. It was speed 3.
Was it not?
No, it wasn't. Nothing to do with speed. But I can't. A Scanner Darkly. Thank you, Zipgun. Zipgun all over it. A Scanner Darkly was the first film I saw of that style, where it was all filmed in normal movie filming stuff, but then they painted over it with animation and stuff.
Okay.
It was quite interesting. It was very good.
Okay.
Oh, BJ, yeah, it was a Philip K. Dick story. Absolutely correct. Yeah, we kind of wafted around the Bad Batch episode of this week and didn't really deal essentially with it. I raised a theory of mine which may have derailed the Bad Batch talk about who I speculate Omega might become. Piss off, Paddy. You weren't even here. You've been on the other one. But yeah, let's pull the plug. Let's go home and celebrate birthdays and organize dinner and stuff.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. Thanks heaps, everyone, for who was hanging around. I'm sure is a few people that have been here since moment one. If you're one of those humans that have watched the replay from then to now, you're a unit, but I appreciate you. Who would do such a thing? I hope you use the skip button a few times. Paddy's always mean, Jess. When did I mod Paddy? No way. No way is Paddy a mod. I'm going to have to open YouTube now to make sure of that. Paddy will be banning people left, right, and centre if she was a mod. Nonsense. Anyway, appreciate everyone's presence and involvement in the chat. BJ Palmer, you might have to go back and investigate. But my theory, in a nutshell, it's not. Can I just also preface my statement by saying it's not my theory alone? When I first heard this theory, I was very against it. But I'm beginning to believe that Omega might become Kira, as in girlfriend of Han Solo in Solo the movie. If you go back and watch earlier in the piece, you'll see Corvus's reaction to my theorem. That's not my theorem. It's someone else's theorem that I'm just repeating. That was how I reacted initially when I thought of this. But the more I think about it, the more I find it quite plausible, believable, actual, etc. So yeah, I'd like if you investigate that and give me your feedback. I'd like to know what anyone else thinks on that. Pop it in the comments below or email me. You all know my email address surely by now. But yeah, that's basically in a nutshell. And if you go back and watch, you'll see Corvus react appallingly. And that's, like I said, that's how I reacted when I first heard that theory. Definitely grew on me as the weeks progressed since it was first posited into my mind. The timing works out, the hair color works out, the accent kind of works out, you know, English, New Zealand, not too far different from one another. And she could, you know, in her involvements with upper class
but
people, she could lose some of the New Zealand twang. Your turn, go.
But isn't Omega has got like light colored hair?
She's got blonde hair, yeah.
And Kira has got dark hair?
Has she?
Yes.
Do you think that in a galaxy far, far away, they don't have access to things like hair dye?
No, I don't. It's just that you said the hair works out, and I was just like, think it's straight away.
I seem to recall that Kira had blonde hair in Solo, but I think you're right. She had darker hair. I was potentially still fixated on Daenerys having her white hair. But, you know, I'm sure hair dye is a thing. But yeah, I'd be interested to see how that one pans out. And, you know, it's fun to have theories about what might happen and what might happen. Might not.
I hope that it's not true, though. I'll be disappointed if it is. I'll be disappointed in the way that her character was initially to come back and say, no, that was Omega. I'll be really disappointed in that because she didn't have any of that kind of pizzazz or, you know, batter.
Yeah, I think we're yet to be exposed to some of Omega's personality traits that might also lend themselves to the potential of becoming someone like Kira.
No, I just mean that Kira initially wasn't very interesting. She doesn't have a lot of this stuff. Like, you know, if you look at Omega's personality, that she's like to just go into being this like kind of, I don't know, not
Ditzy
very
teenager.
That was not what I was thinking, but yeah, like I don't like that. I don't like if that was her, that she should have had a bit more kind of spark about her initially.
G'day, J-Dubs. Yeah, I again, that kind of thing I attribute to the fact that if she was Omega, that she was still doing her darndest to conceal that information from the Empire or from everyone. So she was doing everything in her power, especially at the time of the Solo movie, where it would have only been, you know, maybe 5 years after Bad Batch, roughly, give or take, that it's all still fresh in her mind that the Empire are chasing her and stuff, that she's got to lay low. She's got to pretend she's someone completely who she's not until it really counts. And then when she gets her involvement with the Crimson Dawn, that's when she can, you know, display her master tactician traits and all that kind of stuff.
I'm just saying I'll still be disappointed if that's the way that she was, because, yeah, I just will be.
Fair enough.
I'll be disappointed by that.
Like butt cracks, we've all got our opinions. Is that how you say it? Probably not. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see. And yeah, like I think BJ's tending to agree with you there, Scungy, that it's a considerable personality shift for her to undertake. And the only way to explain it is, like I say, that she's still in a state of wanting to hide from the Empire, so she doesn't want any of her previous exploits to be known to them. Anyway, let's get out of here. Let's do this. Get this bloody Wednesday finished already.
Yeah, it's time.
Go and make a cake and cook some dinner and have a happy birthday.
How do these things?
Tell Teo told him happy birthday. I hope he has a good evening and drinks the whole bottle of scotch.
Hope not.
I think he's a sensible lad. He'll drink half
Me
of it
too.
tonight and save the rest for the weekend.
I think
It is-
even
It is a school night after all.
to be honest, if I didn't have faith that there would be some like reservedness about it, I wouldn't have been so quick to support it.
All right, everyone. Thanks again. Thanks heaps for hanging out. Thanks, Jess and GRB, for your mod duties. Much appreciated. GRB always awesome at slinging the links, and Jess always good at slinging the bad mouths into the whatever you call it, muted comments, deleted comments, and stuff. Did you and Jess get your stuff sorted out? She said she's messaging you heaps or something. So
I did, because you know I'm
Yeah.
really shit at messaging and stuff. But I did. She'd messaged me. I messaged her. I haven't looked on my phone while I've been here, but we'll work the things out. I'm just terrible at doing messaging.
She really is. I can vouch for that. And
It's
on
not
that
just
note,
you; it's everyone.
I'm fairly certain that I'm potentially not a victim of your
I know.
terrible messaging.
You are like the only one who isn't.
All right, everyone. Thanks heaps again. Hang on. Show us where your artwork's up to before we piss off.
Oh, not anywhere really. Further
No.
is a long time to do it.
That's quite nice, though. That's very good. We likes that.
Yay. But
All right, everyone.
we'll finish it.
Thanks heaps. Thanks viewers. Thanks typers. Thanks chatters. Thanks scungies and corvuses. And I guess we'll see you when we're looking at yous.